I never actually know how I'm going to start these things. I mean, I know the intro, but I don't know where it goes after that. We'll have to see where it goes.
It goes where it wants to go.
Yeah. I always actually get nervous before these things.
Will you get into the flow? Will it be comfortable? Or could it just be like we could just not say anything?
I know. Every time I go into these, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to fucking screw this one up. There's a part of my mind that always says that, but then I also know that it's going to be fine. Yeah. Even if I think I'm doing a bad job, it's still fine. There's been ones I've released where I was like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
And people are like, again.
This setup alone, you were 90% more legit than anybody else doing podcasts. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Which is, it's funny when you think about it, it's just 2 phones.
Yeah.
And this thing's awesome.
That gives you all the cred.
Phone cameras have gotten so good lately. Yeah. I mentioned...
Okay, you're getting distracted and we haven't started the podcast yet.
Let it flow.
Okay.
Have a bit of photography background, so dealt with a lot of fun, cool cameras, and I've gotten to the point now where my camera shoots just as good, if not better. And now on the Android phone, it's got portrait mode where it auto blurs the background and blah blah blah. Half the time, that's better than anything. It does a really good job.
Yeah. So you're an Android guy.
Yes.
Mac computers, but Android guy.
I did have an iPhone and then met Michela and she convinced me to switch.
I've never had an iPhone.
Oh, so you haven't joined.
He made me switch to a Mac. I was PC before.
I'm 100% PC.
Yeah.
Like I mean, at work, I used a lot of Macs.
Yeah.
I just can't deal with it. So there's something claustrophobic about it for me.
I hated it too. And then I started using one and now I love it like a dummy. But Android
fine, though.
for my phone.
But it's like if you're comfortable with it, then great. If it works for you, then great. That's all that really matters.
100%.
They're both.
I give people a hard time at work, and I make jokes about it and whatever. But at the end of the day, like it's whatever works best for you. Mm-hmm. And I do have a problem though where I like to project what I like onto others, and I'm trying to really
welcome to our entire business.
So I'm trying to really hone that down, and it's very difficult for me.
Yeah.
But
I know.
Yeah, but ultimately it's whatever you like. Like I despise Android more than anything. It just so I that will be one thing I will never really use.
But because I used both, I like both. But yeah, anyways, we can talk about Android and iPhone differences later.
So I guess I'll start this thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. I'm going to start with this part actually. So we're not even going to start with the intro. This is not a technology podcast.
But it
surprise.
Could be. It could be. It might be. Yeah, surprise. Maybe this is just
we can talk about food and technology. Yeah.
But you're listening to Vic Food Stories. This is the podcast where we talk about food in and around Victoria, BC. Except today we're not going to talk about food. We're going to talk about alcoholic beverages.
And non-alcoholic beverages.
That go well with food.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. So I've got Michela and Quinn.
Hello.
Howdy.
How you two doing?
Really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are super excited about this.
I'm so excited.
I want to thank you because I know you guys listen to them like the other episodes.
Yeah.
And anyone that takes any time to listen to any of this stuff, like I'm super appreciative.
Yeah.
It's really exciting for us to get, we spend so much time in this room and we don't get to go out a whole lot. And so to be able to be here talking about...
I'm just closer to the mic.
Better. To be able to talk about what we do is fun, but also to listen to your show and get the inside scoop almost on other people in our industry and people that we admire and look up to and learn about how they run their business. I think we do a lot of research of looking around our industry because we don't know what we're doing and we hope the other people kind of maybe know what they're doing and we can steal ideas from them.
And when they don't know what they're doing, it's really nice to be like, oh, we're not alone.
I don't think anyone knows what they're doing really.
No,
like,
that's the secret of business.
Yeah.
Like in
life
in general though.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever figures anything out really. We're all just doing our best and trying to like
trial and
do
error.
what we can, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's wild for me to come here and then learn there's just 3 of you doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
2 of us for the longest time.
I have control problems.
Yeah. Quinn needs to be involved with everything.
Shout out to Nadia.
Yeah.
Yes, Nadia's absolutely
Nadia
fabulous.
said hello too. I told her we were recording.
She's another one that like she's been so supportive of like when Mike was with me and now like just with me and she's awesome.
Man, she has like her little fingers on the pulse of like the food and drink community in this city. Like it's so funny. We always joke about now if like, I mean, we haven't gone out for dinner for a really long time, but whenever we do, like we had a little bit of street cred as soon as we launched the vermouths. But when we go out with Nadia, it's like
Everybody knows
all
Nadia.
the bartenders know
Yeah,
Nadia.
yeah.
No one knows us. Everyone knows Nadia.
Yeah,
Like-
we're just Nadia's friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
she's
no,
amazing.
yeah, like she puts up a lot on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least I mean, I haven't been on there that much. That we were talking about that earlier. I really haven't been on that much. So I kind of feel out of place in like the food scene of Victoria the last couple months. I've been going on there and looking at stuff, and I feel like I don't know anything.
Changing so fast and so dramatically that I don't know if Instagram's the right route to promote it anymore. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't.
What's the alternative though?
TikTok is awesome.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But I mean, so the problem with TikTok,
But so much more involved to make content.
well, and like Sean Sewell,
Yeah.
he's crushing on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, he's doing awesome.
The thing about TikTok, and it's 100% true that it like the second you open that thing,
Oh, an hour,
Oh,
3 hours
it's
go
it's a
by.
time vampire.
I don't have it on my phone currently again because it's such a time suck.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to go check on like a couple of people that I follow because I really like enjoy their content and want to look at it right now. And then easily an hour
But it was
goes
kind of
by.
the same
It's
thing
bad.
with YouTube. I would watch a lot of YouTubes because I felt I was learning a lot of stuff. And yes, there was a huge amount of it that was time wasting. And yes, I'm still learning things with the short form TikTok videos. But Jesus, there's an exceptional amount of time wasting, but it's nice. It's
Well, it's just the fact that you can swipe up. Like, what's the next thing going to be?
yeah. Just
Like-
constant.
Dopamine,
constant
dopamine.
go.
100%. And how do you? Where's that point where you actually stop? Because the
There
next
isn't
one
a
could
point.
be the amazing
That's
thing.
why it's doing so well. There is no
That's why.
point.
Yeah, because
It's-
you don't come back around that like Instagram, you finally, it's like things that you've seen already. Like you can eventually exhaust your feed.
Yeah.
But TikTok, that just doesn't happen.
I remember that I did that like near the start when we were on Instagram, and we weren't really following that many people, and it would actually say something like "You're up to date."
Yeah, exactly. You're all caught up.
Yeah, I mean, I
Don't
can't
spend
do
any more
that now.
time.
But I do think locally, yeah, Instagram is the kind of way to keep the pulse on the food scene. But I don't know. I think it might shift.
But even Instagram, I feel like a lot of it is on the stories. Like it's that short form of like updates. Like that's where people are like, oh, we're sold out for today, or here's their pop up.
Told
I'm
you
just
this was
thinking
a
of
tech
like,
blog
yeah,
or podcast.
yeah.
I wish on Instagram though that like when you share someone's stuff, there it gets way less views.
Mm.
Like on a story,
Mhm,
if you go and
mhm.
share someone's post versus putting up your own photo,
Yeah.
and like the one where you can actually click into their on their actual picture, it gets for whatever reason like half the amount that
Mm.
an organic photo will get. So it's interesting to me. It's almost a better idea for me to take like a screenshot of something and put the screenshot up because it'll
Oh,
treat that
really?
like a new thing.
The algorithm knows what's what.
Yeah, I don't know what's
And-
I don't know what's up with that.
Well, I think it kind of makes sense in a way. They want to encourage users to create content, not just like, because it's so quick and easy to like do a little repost, but it's so much more effort to make something new that I think they're via driving views, encouraging
want new
people to
stuff all the time.
make original content.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I've done some stuff recently and like I haven't really been on there that much, but the numbers of people that I've been reaching, like it's really humbling that there was that one post I did that was like 23,000 people,
Wow.
which
which
is
is
just
like,
like-
that's crazy.
Wow.
Which is way like that's more than I think that's the highest for sure that I've ever seen. Like we just did that contest with the Whole Beast and Village Butcher, and that one was at 14,000 this week, like on
Are there
Tuesday.
even 14,000 people in Victoria? Let alone 14,000 people that like really give a shit about food.
There must be.
Yeah.
There has to be because like these are all. I mean, it's not obviously everyone following the account, but like these are all real people. I'm sure that there's probably a couple bots that snuck in there because those used to be all over the place, and I that was one thing that always bothered me was when I saw accounts with like a huge following.
Yeah.
But then it's all these, you go into it and it's like all these photos of like no profile picture, or obviously just full of like, it was actually like 100 people, not 2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
There used to be a lot more a lot more of that, I feel like, but it's died off. So it's interesting though. Like it's just really, I'm really intrigued by numbers. So like when you look at like our account or my account now, I guess I always classify Mike as part of it, even though he's not active.
Yeah.
But it's like, you guys have a business one, obviously not like a personal, right? You get all the numbers.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So it's like you look at it and it's like the demographic and where they're located. and just seeing like, I love the fact that when I go on like on VicFoodGuys, like it's all Canada. It's like 95% like BC basically.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody else anywhere, and I love
Your
it.
Vic Food Guys, that's really what you want.
Yeah, 100%.
Is you don't want somebody in Texas or whatever. Like, yeah, okay, it'd be nice, but
Maybe they're going to travel here and they're looking for something.
that's true.
I don't know.
But they won't be regulars, and you want regulars.
Regulars are great.
Yeah.
Shout out to anyone who listens to these and is a regular, including you
You're the
guys.
best.
Yeah, thank you. So we're here for anyone that doesn't know. This place where I am right now is where Rootside comes out of,
Mhm.
And Esquimalt wine.
and Esquimalt wine.
It's confusing because it's just 3 of us who do both of those things.
With 2
This is-
brands.
Yeah.
3 people, 2 brands.
And then you're winning gold medals everywhere, and like down in San Francisco, like world competitions. And I don't really know where to start with everything.
Yeah.
But so like earlier, so you were mentioning about back there. So this might be a little disjointed. We'll just kind of bounce around and do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Do you want us to do like a once over of like
I was going to say,
what the business actually is?
What do we do for a living?
I think that, do you want to go in order, or do you just want to bounce around?
Just bounce around, do whatever. It's fine.
Quinn's an Asian of chaos, and I'm like, I would like a list, please.
I have a list, like an organized.
But this is why we work so well together.
Yeah, this is us in a nutshell.
Yes, we constantly see ourselves as 2 sides of the same coin who complement each other with various different skills, and that is a prime example. You keep this thing organized and moving forward, and if it weren't for you, this whole thing would collapse.
So basically, she keeps the tornado like going in a straight line
Yeah, completely.
instead of just like.
Yeah. Michela's the mastermind behind that tornado, 100%.
This is like Mike and I before. I was the organized one, and then we go to like functions, and I even had somebody come up to me and they're like, Mike was just there socializing,
Mhm.
and they asked me, they're like, "Is he drunk?" And I'm like, "No, he's very social. He's just Mike." You know,
Just who he is.
I had to keep him. I had to pull him in and keep him in line. Not keep him in line, but keep him like from not going too far off on a tangent or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. But so this sounds like the same thing where you compliment, right?
Yeah, Quinn's all be like ideas and like, ooh, this is shiny. We should do this. Like jumping all over.
But like you were saying before, you have the same problem I do, where if I get really invested down the rabbit hole into some topic or category or thing, all I want to do is share it with the people around me.
Oh, 100%.
And that's kind of what the business is, but I seem to collect hobbies.
It's the understatement of the century.
And Michela keeps that focus, because man, we could have gone down so many different paths, and we almost did a couple
Many
times.
yeah.
But Michela has just kept that focus where it needs to be.
Do you want to expand on any of those things you almost went down?
Oh,
Or is it
just
better
things
left?
that were like not related to. So, okay, we'll bring it back. So, Rootside, we make non-alcoholic mixers and bitters. So, like drink concentrates, and then Esquimalt Wine Co. is bitter kind of aperitifs and interesting things, but booze. So we have alcohol and non-alcoholic, and a lot of the tangents that Quinn has tried to go off on are not related to either of those things.
So
So a third brand new business.
well,
It's just like,
for
with-
example, right now we're selling. Do you know what a baking steel is, or a pizza steel?
I saw that on the website. It's for
Yeah.
cooking on, right? Like
Yeah.
cooking a pizza.
thick,
Yeah.
very thick slab of steel.
I saw that and I'm like, why is this on their website?
Yeah.
That's what my-
thanks to Quinn.
So a hunk of steel like that is like 18 times more thermally conductive than a pizza stone, for whatever. And I got one for myself because I heard about these things, wanted to try it out, and then
We're friends with a metal fabricator.
Freeman Fabrication.
Freeman
If you need metal work,
Fabrication.
go to her.
Yeah. Bronte Freeman. She's amazing. We met her at the Moss Street Market, actually.
Yes.
She was
Awesome.
a vendor there
Yeah.
the first year we were there in like 2018. So talented. She's amazing.
But I got her to make me one of these baking steels, and Michela went and asked if, unbeknownst to me, to have our little logo put on it. And it was really sweet, and I loved it. And I went, wow, this is amazing. We should sell this. And then we got her to make us 120 of them. We have 9 left.
Yeah, we sold through
wow.
most of them, but like
Oh my God.
we paid for them obviously when we got them manufactured, which was like last fall.
Yeah. But it would have been successful if that was what we were focusing on, but that's not what we should focus on, is selling bacon steels. We should focus on selling vermouth and ginger beer and the things that we do. Yeah, exactly.
So anyone that wants one of those, there's only 9 left.
There's only 9 left.
Yes.
Like,
Great Christmas deal. Or Christmas gift.
Get on there and order it. That's awesome that you guys have sold that many.
Yeah.
And then the other...
So question, does it make pizza that much better? It must.
And other things and other bread products we use.
We actually use ours on the barbecue to make like smash burgers
Yeah.
or like to sear steak or something like that.
Because it basically will hold, it's like cast iron on steroids. It'll just hold a ton of heat in it. So when you actually say put a hunk of meat on there, it'll just like sear it in an instant. Or in the case of pizza, where you kind of want it in there, or Neapolitan style, you want it in there super fast and out, it will output that heat to whatever's on it ridiculously fast. So for certain applications, it is beneficial.
Okay.
But we didn't
And
need to buy 120 of them to sell.
Well, that's what I would do. I just get a whole bunch of them, see what happens. Just let it ride. Or what do they say now? They say like send it.
Yeah.
That's the term, just send it.
Yeah. Mind you, with that said, Esquimalt is one of those offshoots where
Slightly.
we were making ginger beer and
That's
tonic
fair.
water.
So let's start with that.
Yeah.
So I think the first place I met you was at Michela was at
The
Peppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The July.
Yeah. The island.
They did like a big
is that
one
customer
local
appreciation?
vendor.
It's
Or
like
island showcase.
the local showcase of all the
Yeah.
people in the store. And actually that showcase is one of my favorite food things out of the year.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
I miss it that it wasn't there last year.
Yeah, exactly. They
Wasn't
haven't
there
done
this
it.
year.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So hopefully next year.
I would
But-
assume so.
But like that, I love that thing. So yeah, so I met you there.
Mhm.
And how close to that was like the start of when you guys had started Rootside?
That was maybe 2 years into it. But to be fair, that was summer 2018. And we moved over to the island February 2018 into this space. So that's kind of like the second portion.
Yeah,
or
we started the business in December 2015
Where was that?
in Vancouver.
Okay.
And
yeah.
we were just operating out of a like commissary shared kitchen space in the basement of the Safeway on Arbutus and 32nd, was it?
I don't remember.
Anyways, basement of a Safeway. Sorry, I'm drinking carbonated things. Operated out of that shared kitchen for a couple years, and the annoying part about that is every single part of our production steps, like we had to set up all of our equipment every single time we needed to use it, and then tear it all down.
Take it down and put it in onto tiny
Just
shelves.
insane time waste.
How much time is that? Like to put it up and then take it down every time?
We've gotten way faster. For example,
Or about back then though?
like our ginger beer to make 100 liters or 200 liters, whatever, it used to, even just the blending of like mixing the ingredients, not pasteurizing or bottling, but the blending alone used to take us probably like 20 odd hours.
Quinn exaggerates everything, but it was a very long time.
Yeah. This was a long day.
Well, we were also like, we were out of a juicery, so they had all the equipment for us to juice the ginger ourselves. So that was, that was like a full day. And then we would.
But
make
either
it the
way,
next
we've gotten
day,
it down where we can do like 1,000 liters and we can blend all the ingredients in an hour and a half.
Wow.
We've just cut that down.
Yeah, which is wild.
So coming back to Peppers, oh God, there's going to be so many tangents.
That's fine. I think we're going to be here for 5 hours.
That's fine. That's acceptable.
Okay. So we were getting to the point, because things were taking like a ridiculously long time to get anything done, that we were at that like make or break of like, we're running out of space. We have no time. We were so tired. And living in Vancouver. So both of us were working other jobs to support us because we weren't making anything
to support
for the
our
business.
600 square foot apartment.
Yeah. So it's kind of that make or break point that we were like, okay, we need to have our own space so we can do this. Like, are we going to jump in full time, or are we just going to kind of let this go? And Quinn doesn't like working for other people. So working for someone else after this was kind of a non-negotiable. So we decided to jump on in and found this warehouse on the island and moved over. Yeah. February 2018. So that was like I feel like the start of when we really kind of.
It was an easy move for us
seriously.
though, because you went to university here and I grew up on the island and my parents are here. So it made sense for us to move to Victoria.
Yeah. And just have always loved it here.
Yeah.
So it was easy. But yeah, came over, set up the warehouse. So that was just like that first summer that we were here.
What year was that?
2018.
Yeah, and then 2019, July 2019,
July.
we came out with our, see, she knows everything. We came out with our Rosso Vermouth, and we were just doing that in like super small, like 200-liter batches just to figure out how to make vermouth on scale, or at scale. And then we came out with our dry vermouth in February 2020. And then shit hit the fan. So the Esquimalt side is very much a bit of it's a pandemic baby, and we don't really know how that business functions outside of the pandemic yet, which will be interesting.
Well, we'll get into the awards and stuff, but like the fact that happened, I mean, I think it's going to do pretty good. That's my hunch. Cause like when I tried it, cause I had I bought that 3-pack of like the one from last holidays.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like when I opened it, I was like, oh my God, like this stuff is crazy.
Thanks.
It's so different than anything else I've ever had. Like I'm not an expert at by any means of like alcohol, vermouth, what's the A word? What is it?
Aperitif.
Yeah. Aperitif. Yeah. So an aperitif.
Nobody really knows about them. And this was that whole thing of, I want to share what I've fallen in love with. And aperitifs is one of those things that I feel are so good, but nobody knows about them. And I just want people to know about them.
So is that something that you have before a meal to get your digestion going?
So yeah, so there's two categories. You've got aperitifs and digestifs, which fundamentally do the same thing. They get your digestion going, and the way they go about doing that is they are basically, our dog is whining. Do you want to bring her upstairs? Should we pause for a second?
I might just need to go feed her.
Yeah,
that's okay. We can pause this.
Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Or you can do you want to just talk about vermouth?
Yeah, I can talk about vermouth.
We can just keep going.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. I mean, I can pause it too.
No, that's
She's
fine.
just whining. And
she's like the cutest dog ever. I gotta say,
continue.
They have the biggest dog I've ever seen here. And what's the breed again?
She's an Irish Wolfhound.
Irish Wolfhound.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that breed, but that name is so cool. And she's like the sweetest thing ever.
And
massive.
She's there whining.
She's hungry now.
She wants dinner.
Because it's her dinner.
Yeah, she's a little hungry.
Okay, I'll be 5 minutes.
Okay, I will yammer about vermouth.
Okay. Okay.
We live above our warehouse, so it makes this whole situation very easy.
There's she going. Oh yeah, she showed up on the video a little bit. So if you want to see her, you can check out the video on YouTube. Yes,
and there's photos of her buried on our Instagram feed. Anyways, aperitifs and digestifs. So the thing that gets your digestion rolling is the fact that they are bitter, and our bodies don't really like bitter things because bitter things, tend to be poison.
I was going to say, it means danger, right?
Yeah, danger. So when you consume something bitter, it kicks your metabolism into overdrive because your body just goes, I need to expel this bitter thing you just put in me. And it kickstarts your digestive system. It kickstarts your metabolism to try and just get that out of your system. So drinking bitter things makes eating really lovely, rich, filling meals easier.
Okay.
And they taste good.
If it's done correctly, they taste good.
Yes.
I've had some really gross bitter stuff.
Yes.
So
it's like eating bitter vegetables. It is a bit of an acquired taste. It's like when you have a Negroni for the first time. It's overwhelming, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was actually pretty good. Maybe I should have another one. And then over time, all of a sudden, it's just
now you start picking up beef. Like after getting sort of hit with that initial thing, you can now start going behind that huge wall and start picking up little things there, right?
Yeah, and that's really how it kind of started for us. Is we started Rootside, making ginger beer, making tonic water, and started really going down that.
So what you guys started where you wanted to like start Rootside? How did that first come up as an idea?
I got laid off. I was working for a political research and polling company in Vancouver. I've got a background in like kind of political science. Thought I wanted to do that, got laid off, and then had, one of those moments of like, what should I do with my life? And I knew I wanted to be involved in food and drink in some way, but being a chef and bartending seemed like too much work.
It's a crazy. I see what like the chefs that I know do.
Yeah.
And it is like, I'm like,
It's so much work.
I respect it so much because like you have to be 150% in. Otherwise just don't even bother.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to love it or exactly don't even bother.
Even 99%, that's not enough.
Yeah. You need to be able to be willing to be on your feet all day, every day and love it.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting at a bar and just had a really bad drink. I think it was like a dark and stormy or a Moscow Mule or something like that. And I was like, what's in this? Oh, ginger beer. What's ginger beer? Oh, I could make that. And then it kind of literally started like the idea was, oh, let's just make like a keg of ginger beer, sell that, use what we make from selling that keg to make the next keg. And we were so green, and I didn't even know we had to operate out of, a commercial kitchen that needed to be inspected. Like we just had no idea what we were doing, and slowly kind of figured out that okay, now we need to get into a commercial kitchen. We need to make sure our pH is right, make sure this thing is shelf stable, lab tests, blah 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 blah. Went down the rabbit hole. Found cocktails, started loving cocktails, and then through that found vermouth via a Negroni, gin, vermouth, Campari. You start playing around with the gins a little. Go, oh, what happens if I play around with this vermouth a bit? And then you go into a liquor store, and there's like two options for vermouth. You've got Martini or Cinzano, which are like $11 a bottle. And then you've got a fancy one that's like $50 a bottle. But there's nothing in the middle. And that's kind of, I think, what we're trying to wedge ourselves into is that middle ground. Because as somebody who's getting into drinks, I went, okay, I've never tried these before, so I'm going to judge them off of price. I don't want to buy the cheap stuff, but I can't afford the high-end one. Where's the middle? And then that whole snowball kept going down the hill. And then Odd Society Distillery in Vancouver, like literally a week after having that thought, had it was called Midnight Summer something. Anyways, it was like a vermouth hypercentric event. Welcome. Hello. And it was Sean Layton, John from Sovereign, and I think it was Mia from Odd Society were bartending, but just showcasing like 6 different types of vermouth, and we were there, and it was just like blew our minds what it could actually be, and we just fell in love, and we're like, okay, we got to start making this. And this was in like 2017.
That was 2017. Yeah.
Wow. So that's hilarious though, that like the very sort of everything with like Rootside was you having a bad drink.
Yeah.
And then the thing that starts the next company is you guys having your mind blown with some good drinks.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the third thing is going to be. Like what
Nothing.
Experience is going to lead to that.
We're not going off on no, we need to focus.
Well, it sounds like there might be a possibility that you might want to do it.
Maybe.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But so like with Rootside, so you decide like, okay, what is ginger beer? Oh, I can make that.
Yeah.
So you guys make that first batch.
Yeah.
And like, how does that go?
Fine. There's a lot of work.
It was so much work.
We would buy a case of ginger, and we actually still use it for R&D. It's in the back, but this small little masticating tabletop like vegetable juicer. And at the time, the commissary kitchen we were in was a juicery. Their whole business was juicing vegetables, and for some reason that just went straight over the top of our heads. So we bought a little masticating tabletop juicer off of Craigslist, and we're like cutting up the ginger into like 1-inch cubes and shoving it through this little juicer, and just spending like all day juicing like 30 pounds of ginger. And then I went, how do I do this faster? So I Googled, commercial juicer for ginger, and saw a picture, and it was the machine that was right behind me.
Directly behind.
Literally right behind me.
How long had you guys been doing it the grueling way?
Like 6 months?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
How did you feel when you actually saw the photo online, realizing the whole scenario?
Dumb.
But also relief.
I was going to
Also
say there
relief.
must have been some massive amount of relief.
Oh, well, just knowing, oh my God, we could do this so much better and I don't have to spend any money to do it. The machine is literally 3 feet behind me.
Yeah.
But I just had no experience with that machine, so I didn't know.
It was like the last podcast that I edited. Like I found out that new workflow.
Yeah.
If I had known this the whole time,
Oh, yeah.
I literally could have cut out maybe like 80 hours of time at this
Yeah.
point
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that I spent that I didn't have to spend.
But
It's hard not to dwell on that, but like you have to just like let it go.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
It's already happened. You can't change it.
But since then, that's kind of been like our main shtick, is trying to figure out how we can be as efficient as possible in our production. Because again, it's just the two of us, and yeah, we could hire out labor to do it, but if
Get there.
we could hire out labor to do it, but if it's not an efficient process already, it's going to be very expensive to hire that labor. And in our case, I think we'd rather put money into an asset that, you know, if this thing went tits up, we could sell. But if that asset, that piece of machinery, can make things go faster, it means we can just keep doing it, just the two of us,
More efficiently.
at a bigger scale. And then when we do get to a point where we want to hire people, we can, and it's
financially,
efficient.
it just from our perspective, I mean, it's worked for us so far, but we feel like it just makes more sense to invest in equipment and infrastructure than labor, which is basically kind of somewhat ends up being a sunk cost. Like you pay for it and you need it, but then you're never kind of getting anything back from it, if that makes sense. I feel like that sounds
I
ungrateful.
think you need
like
to get to like, there's a certain bottlenecks that you get to. And you guys, it sounds like haven't hit one where you just need more people. You're still working within like your capacity or whatever, what you guys can do.
It's like our labeler. We for the longest time. Do you want me to turn that?
No, just
thing
go.
off? It's good. Great.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I worry.
No, this is good for me. I just I'm just like not even thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. Our labeler is just a little hand crank. Put the bottle on, turn the crank, label goes on. But it's very one bottle at a time. You have to focus on exactly what you're doing.
So every bottle has been handled with love.
Yes,
by one of you two.
Hand labeled. I mean, we did that for a while where we were physically using like no machine, just hand. And then
we had like a masking tape guide on the table, and I was like taking the label off and then like rolling the bottle over that and scraping.
And then we got a little
really?
thing with a hand crank, and that was fun.
so
But it would
silly.
take like all day for me to label a batch. And now we upgraded to an automatic labeler that has a little conveyor belt. And while we're bottling, you know, I'm filling, Michela's capping. So Michela takes the bottle from me, she caps it, and then she just sets it down on the table. And before, it would get set down on the table, and then it would get heat sealed, and we'd have to label. But now it gets set down on the table, and that table is just a conveyor belt, and it goes through the labeler, and no humans had to touch it. And now we've just completely gotten rid of an entire day's worth of labor because of the robots. They're taking our jobs.
They're taking over.
But it's great because I have control problems and
Yeah, you have to worry about the robot. They'll do what you
Not
say.
yet, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. They haven't flipped that switch yet.
Yeah.
So, but this stuff back here. So, right when we were going to start,
Yeah.
and I was like, let's
Oh, yeah,
hold off on
getting way
this.
back to this.
Well, no. So, like, I'm sort of bouncing all over the place.
That's good.
But I'm curious about these bottles back here. So, if you look at the video on YouTube, between them, you're going to see this lovely assortment of colors going on back there.
Yeah.
And so, what are in those bottles?
That is the lifeblood of our business.
That's very dramatic.
It's true.
Yeah, fair. Okay, continue.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Every single botanical, or you can think of it as like every single flavor that goes into our drink, every botanical we extract each one completely separately. So we basically, say rosemary, take that and steep it in a fortified mead or wine to extract its flavor. And we do each single botanical that we use, we extract it completely separately so that when we're making a product, we have these liquid extracts that we can kind of dose into that base mead to come up with the end flavor that we want. And then I can start layering them. We can start really kind of tweaking and adjusting at a very rapid pace. And each one of those jars represents a single botanical, because the one downside to doing this process is every time we make something, we always end up with a little bit extra that we need to kind of then decant off and store. So that is our herb library. And it's also super handy because when we're doing R&D, I can just go back there and go, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and come up with a recipe.
So yeah, you could make like you could do some tests with a little tiny bit.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, we can do this. And let's just increase the amounts.
My recipe development is probably like 15 mil per sample. Is I've got a little cup and a gram scale and a little pipette, and I'm just drops at a time, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and recording every step. So
then I'm the taste tester.
Yes.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yes.
So you just sit back and see what he gives you.
But hugely, like, that input is so required. But that enables us to, like, come up with a recipe where I can iterate on it 50 times in a day. I can come up with 50 different versions. Whereas if I was steeping all of those botanicals in that base all at the same time, if I wanted to, say, increase the amount of chamomile, I'd have to re-steep all of those botanicals again. And that takes, a week, 2 weeks, a month.
Hugely inefficient.
Yeah. Exactly. It would take me a month to come up with one version, whereas I can do 50 versions in a day this way.
So like doing it this way that you do it, is that common? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Again, we know nothing.
Well, maybe. I think most vermouth producers, because it makes the production end complicated. Like our vermouth has 32 different botanicals in it. So every time we make vermouth, we have to measure all of our botanicals 32 times over. Whereas, if you're just putting all your herbs into a base wine once, and it makes that process quicker. I found there was a vermouth company in the US that pre-prohibition was one of the largest vermouth producers. And at one point, the person managing their estate had died and all their internal documents went up for sale. And some guy on the internet found them and posted them. So I got a really good in-depth look at how vermouth was made historically from that company, and probably about a dozen different other ones. And this was the one that spoke to me, I guess, the most, because again, I have control ball.
I was going to say that's the control.
Yeah, I like to measure things. I like to be really, 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 really precise. And this enables me to be really, really precise and make sure that we're consistent from every single batch, because, 10 grams of rosemary extract, if you make it the same way, is going to be the same every single time.
But there is some variation with like the botanicals
Yes.
that we get sometimes too, where we notice
Season to season,
or if they're from a different place, just the way that they extract flavor will be different.
Yeah.
So by blending them separately or extracting them separately and then blending them, we can adjust kind of based on seasonal changes
so
too.
We've got this, this is what our product tastes like. Again, we'll use rosemary as the example. Rosemary was a little bit different this year. It was a little stronger, a little weaker. We can add a little more, a little less, literally the day we are blending, which makes things easier and more difficult.
Yeah, at the same time. But more consistent product, I think.
Yes.
Ultimately.
And you guys source those original things locally when possible, or?
Some we do, some we don't. I mean, herbs and spices are inherently an international kind of game, like cardamom. We just don't have the climate here for it. And to make, like, our vermouths right now they are traditionally flavored because we wanted, if you're making a cocktail, if you're making a Negroni or Manhattan or a Martini, and you're buying a bottle of, say, Rosso vermouth, you kind of want it to taste like a Negroni when you make it at home. So we needed to use some international botanicals. But yes, we do get local as much as frequently as we can. And then hopefully when I set up like a little herb garden outside and maybe grow some of our own, because that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. And I appreciated, like, when I had the gift pack, just the variety of flavors going on there, because so 2 of them are vermouths.
Yes.
And one of them
was our Quina Rouge, which is like the sexy cousin of vermouth.
That one to me tastes like blackberry.
Yeah. So it has blueberry in it.
Or blueberry, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, same.
Yeah. But that like kind of juicy, berry flavor.
That was sort of the flavor I got from it. And that was the first one I tried. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
This is dangerous.
Yeah.
And then-
And nobody knows about that whole category. Nobody drinks it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's called Kakina is the category for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Which basically vermouth is made bitter by the herb wormwood. It's
Okay.
like intensely bitter. Vermouth actually comes from the word wormwood. And then a Kakina is made bitter by quinine, which is the same thing that makes tonic bitter. So it's basically kind of those.
It's also called a tonic wine.
A tonic wine,
often,
yeah. But aperitifs are defined by
What
their
makes them bitter?
their bittering
Oh, I see.
component.
So is vermouth a type of aperitif?
Yes. Yeah. So say you've got like
So an aperitif is the the arching thing.
You've got
And
an
then there's all
umbrella
these-
of aperitif, or sometimes they're called aromatized wines. And then under that there are various different categories. Vermouth is one of them.
But it basically has to have wormwood
Yeah.
to be a traditional vermouth.
And to be a Kakina, it has to be bittered by quinine. To be an Americano, it's bittered by gentian. Those are the three main kind of bitter aperitifs. And then if it doesn't fall into one of those categories, say if it's bittered by bay leaves or something, it would just be called a vino amaro, which is bitter wine in Italian. But outside of like vermouth, outside of using wormwood, there isn't really anything else that makes it vermouth to somebody. I mean, it has to be like a wine base.
A wine base.
But wine could be cider, it could be mead, it could be grape wine, it could be blueberry wine, it could be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Whereas Kinas actually are often, the base is kind of a wine. Most people think wine is a fermented drink, but there's a category of wine called the Mistel. Sorry, this is getting very technical. There's a category of wine called the Mistel, which is fortified juice. So you take juice and you add alcohol, like spirit alcohol to it, to up the ABV to 18% to make it shelf stable.
Yeah.
And that's normally what Kina's, the base is just like unfermented grape juice with alcohol added to it.
That's cool.
And so we kind of did a bit of both. Our Quina Rouge had fermented red wine from the Cowichan Valley, and then we still wanted to do the whole Mistel thing. But blueberry juice is delicious, so we made a blueberry Mistel where we took blueberry juice and fortified it with alcohol. So it was a blend of both of those things.
Was sort of the Quina or Quino Rouge? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Quina Rouge.
So was it attractive, the fact that it's not as common? Like, did you want to do something different? Was that on purpose?
We're the first producers to make a Kakina in Canada since I think like 1942.
Yeah,
or
like
business.
World War II.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So was that kind of the draw to do that?
A little bit. And we just had, so Dubonnet is the most common one. Like next time you're at the grocery store, it has like a black cat on the bottle.
It's usually on the bottom shelf, covered in a lot of dust, and it's like $11 a bottle.
Mostly old ladies buy it.
And it's the best thing you'll ever have.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Really?
It's really good. I would encourage you to pick up a bottle.
Yes.
But we had that and we're like, again, making things that we like. And we're like, oh, maybe other people will like this too.
Well, if you're starting with juice, I mean,
yeah,
get some delicious juice and go from there.
Yeah, you're not going to have any issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of the inspiration there, is just like another kind of aperitif that we loved and wanted to try and make our own version of.
And then you have like the Ross, is it Rosso?
Rosso. Or
Rosso.
I don't know. I say it Rosso.
Rosso.
Yeah.
But the Rosso, I mean, then I had that and it was kind of like, I mean, it was obviously sweet, but like
Christmas.
it was like, to me, it was like cloves.
Totally.
Yes, there's cloves in there.
Yeah.
So that's what I got from it when I had it. And it was just such a cool experience after having the other one.
Yeah.
Like then to go to this one.
Yeah, they're so different too. Yeah, the Rosso is just like, I don't know. I love to just have it over ice. That was what we kind of wanted to do with all of our products is
I like drinking things straight out of a bottle because it's no effort.
Yeah, but like enough character to kind of have on their own and be interesting. But then, like kind of Quinn mentioned before, is that they're not so crazy that you can't use them in classic cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the sweet vermouth, that's kind of was the key, is like it has to make a killer Negroni, it has to make a killer Manhattan, and I want to be able to just like guzzle it over ice. And then same thing for the dry vermouth. Like if it can't make a really decent martini,
then what are we doing?
What are we doing?
And the dry vermouth, when I had that one, I was thinking pineapple.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would argue that's probably coming from the yeast and how we ferment our mead. It can get a little kind of tropical kind of vibes.
I like this one a lot.
Thank you.
It's more bitter, but this one grew on me.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, so
The bitterness hits afterwards.
Yes.
At the start, you get the real sweet, like because you said it's orange, right?
Orange Sitka, so orange peels and Sitka spruce tips.
Yeah, so you get sort of it's the bitterness. I didn't notice it at the start at all.
It comes in at the end.
A few seconds later, you start going down that road a little bit.
So this is part of kind of what defines each one of those styles. Is each one of those bittering agents? There are different types of bitter. Wormwood tends to be a little bit juicier and hits at the start. Quinine tends to be a little more drier and astringent and hits at the end. This one has more quinine in it, so it hits at the end, whereas the Rosemary Grapefruit Spritz has more wormwood in it, so the bitterness kind of hits a little bit ahead. And the grapefruit is also a little bitter that hits ahead. But
I love the label on the Rosemary grapefruit there.
Yeah.
The three seagulls.
Yeah, if you should look.
Pass me that up. I'll show the video here.
There's a book called Amaro. I can't remember the author, but there is on the cover of that book is a label from a defunct Amaro brand that has a similar kind of vibe with three little kind of yellow birds stacked up on top of each other, and we went, that is amazing. And we are all about seagulls because we're in Esquimalt and seagulls are everywhere. So we kind of riffed off of that label, and there's
like a little bit of an Easter egg on the Spritz labels that no one has actually pointed out to us.
I can't believe nobody has pointed it out to us.
But I feel like we shouldn't say what it is, and if anyone figures out,
no, we have. This is an exclusive.
Or what do you think?
I just want
we
someone
have Easter eggs on all of our labels.
No, I just want someone, if they figure out what the kind of like oddity is on the label, is message us and we'll give you a free bottle.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Can you tell me afterwards?
We will tag you.
Totally.
Like I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, we'll tell you afterwards for sure.
So
but there's something on the label that like we did because we thought it was hilarious, and no one's pointed it out.
And there's also another significant Easter egg on the Quina Rouge label, who I've only ever told one person, that was West.
He was at Olo.
He was at Olo, and he was at Stage, and now he's Humboldt Barts. Is West at Barts? I don't know. Anyways,
we love West. West is great.
But there are Easter eggs hidden.
Those and I love little things like Easter eggs. It seems like a lot of businesses do have them, but like it's just things they don't come up.
It's just like a fun little wink. I feel like it's a way of like communicating
that
our like.
Well, yeah, but it's cool. like I know like Jones Barbecue and the Ruby, like they used to have a little Easter egg in each location. That I'll tell you guys after.
Okay.
But there was something like that they had that no one knew about, or like the root cellar where Daisy, like their kids have their handprints where the sign is, like on Mackenzie there.
No, fabulous.
They have like it's all the kids' handprints are in the cement.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah, or nowhere in the middle of the restaurant has a little circle, so you can be in the middle of nowhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to take a photo there, and I'm sure somebody has like a selfie.
I haven't seen one yet.
A selfie saying I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't even know where is it really visible?
I haven't actually seen it. I think it was actually your podcast I heard that on.
Yeah. Clark mentioned it.
Yeah.
I've never actually looked for it.
No, we should look for it.
And we were there not too long ago either.
Yeah.
How was the meal?
Oh my God. I think that was the best one we've had there. I don't know. It was incredible. It's always incredible.
Well, I find that like every time I go to Hanks or Nowhere, the food is just like, I don't know if it's because I just haven't gone in a while and I forget how good it is, or they somehow do keep elevating. It just
like blows you away though.
What they're doing.
They give a shit and they're having fun doing it, and it shows.
Yeah, I feel like that's them like in a nutshell. They care, but they're just like doing exactly what they want. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, they care so much while also sort of not caring.
Oh yeah, they don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
But they care about what they're doing, which I think is just the best intersection.
100%.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like Clark, Devin, Laura, the whole team, and Rylan. I mean, everyone there, phenomenal. Like if anyone hasn't gone to Hanks or Nowhere, like you're doing something wrong.
Do it and do it regularly all the time. We had a time where we went a bit too much, and then our budget said we can't.
Yeah.
I still try to talk Michela to letting me go.
Yeah, we did like the maze.
I saw you guys do that.
Yeah, that one, and I think we did one more in December, and I was like, okay, we need to pump the brakes on these extravagance.
You guys were at the front table, right?
Yeah.
on that night.
Oh yeah, and he was literally out there, like right out
Yeah,
there.
he's right outside the window.
Yeah, it was
getting
awesome.
the
Yeah, it was
tortillas ready.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that meal I feel like I was digesting for like a week. Like
It was
I
like
was
6
so
hours.
full.
Yeah, that
That's
was a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
And that I think that one
Were you guys still there? I think you were still there when we left.
probably.
Yeah.
I think we left near the end. But yeah, it was like 6 hours. And I mean, like it was a fair chunk of money, but you absolutely, for the experience you got,
Oh, that's
you can
just
never
it.
have that experience ever again or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was,
But that's every single time you go there.
I know.
That's
That's why
what's
it's so
cool.
difficult because I want to go all the time.
Yeah.
I can't afford it. But that's the magical thing about when you do go,
Mhm.
that if you're open to eating like anything,
Yes, you have to be open.
yeah, you have to be. If you do have restrictions, I mean, they are open to actually making exceptions.
yes.
Oh.
Because like my girlfriend came with me and she doesn't do seafood.
Yep.
So they did, and Clark was like, we're totally happy to do that because it almost feels to me like, and he didn't say this, but my opinion is like they're so skilled that when someone does say something, like it gives them an opportunity to almost
Like,
come up with
we can
something
do
new.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because so
But at the same time, it's a small space with limited space, limited team. You know, you've got to be cognizant of that. So they just do what they do, and it's awesome. But yeah, exactly. If you need to make a little change, they can make a change, and they love making changes because they change everything all the time. It's great.
yeah, it's a very special place.
Yes,
Yeah.
So I mean, and if you don't know who they are,
special is the right word. It is very special.
go back
Yeah.
and check out. I think it's episode 8 or something of Vic Food Stories, and I did a sit down where we had the
There
guy
were 3 of
power
them.
washing
Yeah.
outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the guy was power washing, and it was a hell of a time trying to make it sound okay. But the conversation's
Nobody
awesome,
knows.
and I was
Yes.
like, at that point, I didn't really know them. Like I know them much better now.
Mhm.
So like I was just like super excited because I'm like, oh, I'm talking to these guys, and they do such a wild job.
Yeah, we've gone there. My parents, we took them there, was our first time going 2
Yeah.
years ago. And that was our initial experience at Nowhere. And we ordered the pig's head. So they brought it
Oh,
at
you
the,
got that?
we
Oh,
got
yeah,
it.
but we had
Oh.
already had a full dinner.
Because they weren't doing the tasting
beforehand.
menus at that point. Like
Yeah.
it was,
Oh,
or they
they
probably
were. We just didn't do
We
it,
just didn't do
'Cause
it. We
were new.
ordered.
Yeah, we had no idea.
Yeah, but we also ordered that. And so it's like at the very end, they just drop a pig's head. And it was like served with like taco seasonings of like pull, the pork off and make your own little tacos. But we were so full.
But,
Yeah, you get the jowls and
Yeah.
everything.
But
Oh, it
that's
was
the style.
amazing.
It's designed to overwhelm, to just have this like intense hospitality experience where you feel so taken care of, and then it's like, oh, just one more thing, and it is just the most epic thing.
Yeah.
So my one more thing there is that we were at a meal, and I forget which one it was, but we were there and we ate we did the tasting thing. So
Yeah.
we're like, you get a lot of food when you go too. This was at Nowhere.
Oh, the value per dollar is ridiculous. Like it's
Well, if you break it down, it's like the cost per dish is insane.
Yeah.
It's because really with food, I find you just need a little bit. Like if you have a big dish, really the first couple of bites is where you get the most impact.
Yeah.
And then after that, you just kind of acclimate. But we were there and Clark walked by us and he's like, you guys still hungry? And like, we're all
don't
full.
say yes.
We're all full.
It's like, oh, no problem.
And then he came back, and this is after they had got one of the Wagyu cows.
Yeah. Yeah.
geez.
So he dropped a full rack of ribs on the table, and he's like, "This is going to be my dinner." But
Like a full beef rib, like
yeah, the full it was
Those are
massive.
massive.
It was massive. So, and like they only had like 1 or 2 cows,
Mhm,
so they barely had any of these things, and so he just drops it on the table. He walked away, and he's like, "This is going to be my dinner, but here you go."
yeah.
And he's
Yeah,
like,
that's,
"Here you go,
that's how
guys."
they roll. They're fabulous.
And like it was, I mean, the best ribs I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like not even it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's sort of what they do, and that's why it's special.
Oh, totally. Well, that's my parents finally. I'm from Calgary originally. And so my parents haven't been here in a number of years now. So they finally were able to come out last month. And that was like top of the list. It was like, we want to go back to Nowhere. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so we went, but again, it's just like, it's dinner and a show. Like
Yeah.
the way that they're just doing tasting menu now, I think is so smart for them. Like it's just dialed in. It's always going to be different. And it's just this like
and they know
experience.
if they're full, like, you know,
Yeah.
this is, I mean, from a business perspective, this is the revenue they will generate. They know they're covering their costs, and they know they're going to be, you know, despite all the craziness going around, by doing a tasting menu, they've really been able, I think, to hone in on what they're putting out there and also what's coming in to keep them alive. And it's just,
This is very quickly just turning into a nowhere fan
Well,
podcast.
I'm a fanboy.
I am 100%.
So good.
So I feel like, so because I listen to your podcast, I know that you usually ask at the end of like, where's your favorite place to go, or like, what's the spot in the city? And so many people say nowhere, and I'm like, okay, we can't say that this time.
Yes, we can.
Well, but we're just,
It's interesting that when I
It is
talk
the
to them,
same. Like,
they
it's
do
gotta be
say
nowhere.
that the customer base,
Yeah.
there's not much overlap. Like people like one or the other,
Mm-hmm.
which I find interesting. I can see
Oh,
it.
between Hanks
Yeah.
and nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
not much
yeah.
overlap. Like people like one or the other in general.
See,
We've only gone to Hanks once.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's because it was a bit of the whole Hanks Nowhere was a bit of a pandemic experience. We went once with your parents to Nowhere first, and then the pandemic hit. So then Hanks was only takeout. We got a bunch of tank.
Oh yeah, we did a bunch
Yeah.
of takeout there.
But
That's
then
true.
we could only go to Nowhere, so that's all we went. And now we're just on that side. And I think we went to Hanks once.
Yeah, we went once for like a sit down dinner, tasting still,
Yeah.
but
But we're kind of over on the Nowhere side.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll switch. I don't know.
I like the feel too. The way they have it set up now with the walls, so it's kind of like you're in your own private restaurant.
oh yeah, exactly.
I love it. And then Hanks, like there's just such a feel of like it's this tiny ass room
Mhm,
where I got to
mhm.
say that when you walk into the front door on the right, there's a little 2-seat.
Yeah, just
table.
like nooked in
It's
there.
it's I think that I mean for me sitting at the bar and talking to Clark and Ryland, like that's the best.
Mhm.
But that little table in the corner there is like the best table if you just want to sit at a table, 2 people, and have like an amazing meal and talk.
like
the best table in the city.
date night. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just going to say in the
100%.
whole city.
Whole city.
And now to continue on the Nowhere Hanks train. and after
All
something completely
aboard.
different. It is also so refreshing to go into a place and to talk to people and read a menu that is so unrelentingly local, and they don't.
Yeah, they crush it.
Yeah,
so
they
hard.
just care so much about what's being produced on this island, and I don't feel enough places are doing that, and they're really showcasing what the island has to offer, and that it's so awesome. And all I want to do is support people that are doing things like that, because the island is making so much good stuff, and not enough people know about it.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have less experiences doing something, save up for a good experience,
Mhm.
than to go and just have a whole bunch of generic
Yeah,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
I want things that are going to stick with me that are memorable.
totally.
And so like that one dinner that we had there at the
With
Mize,
Israel, yeah.
Yeah.
like I look after my dad, like I'm his caretaker basically.
Mhm.
So I've been really careful because I don't want to take anything to him, right, and get
Yeah.
him sick. But like that was the first dinner that I had out, because it was a group of I think 4 of us. That was the first dinner I'd had out in like months at that
Yeah.
point,
Mhm.
because this is October last year or something, November.
Which for VicFoodGuys, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been an interesting time. But like to go to that meal then and have that be the meal where you're sort of reintroduced to eating out and being in sort of a group of a couple people or 4
Mhm.
people. It was prolific. So it's
Yeah.
cool that you guys got to go to that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
not many people did.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. Look out for their feature dinners they have, because they have some more coming up at the end of the year here.
After that meal, I strategically, and I don't think I've taken advantage of it yet, but set up notifications on my phone. So
Yeah.
every single time they post something, I get a notification.
Oh no, what was the
Mine's
last
been like
one
that
they
for a long
did?
time.
Yeah.
Was
that-
it the
hot
one in
tip,
October?
do that if you want to get on the good
Did you
events.
go there? Was there a dinner in October?
Probably.
I think
feel
so.
like you tried to convince me to go to
There was
that.
something recently. I haven't been on Instagram that much,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's not a bad idea to
There
have
was one
notifications on, which I've done.
I
I actually
feel
did that for them.
Yeah, because they do really special,
Yeah.
awesome things, and they go in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I feel like they had a couple like a last minute table, and you were like, "Should I do this?" And then we hesitated, and the table was gone.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You can't hesitate.
Yeah, no, you just
Yeah.
gotta like full on go.
You really
for
can't
it.
hesitate in any of the special dinners that come up. Like it's going to be a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go another day and it's just going to be something completely different. You go and get like pig's head, like you said,
Yeah,
like because they don't, although that was at Nowhere. I know at Hanks, if they bring it to you, I think they just kind of leave it, just the crispy bits are all over the place. And it's just kind of like, here's a tray with a head on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just leave it up to you,
Yep.
which I love.
that's,
Again,
yeah,
all
that's
of-
fully what it was at Nowhere too.
unapologetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so cool. So instead of asking at the end, then let's continue this. So like, what other places are you guys eating at if you're going out?
It's changed a lot
Yeah.
in the last year. We were
We've
like,
kind of done like a 180 as far as
we were eating out just constantly for all of 2020.
when it was safe. Like we were. I
Yeah,
feel
of
like
course. And frankly, this 2021, I think, is for us personally and for the business has been defined by a bit of a financial awakening of doing things like, not like focusing and really just trying to get our finances.
Not buying more baking steels.
Well, I mean,
For instance.
yeah.
It was only 120 of them.
Yeah. Oh, don't get him started.
What was the original order? 500?
It was going to be more.
Oh, I had so many different things planned, and I still kind of want to do it because I mean, Bronte and her business is she does such fantastic work,
And because that one, like, it's selling out. So
oh yeah, and I want to support it, but it just we're not the right business to take that on. And
Focus.
yes, exactly, and we're doing the same thing on.
how often do you do that signal
Oh.
in this relationship? Like, do you? How often is that?
Oh, many times.
Yes.
A day.
Yes.
Sometimes hourly.
Yes. We're doing the same thing personally, really trying to rein in our finances, which ultimately means we needed to rein in how often we were going out. So we're cooking a lot more at home now, which has also been super fun and
I was
exciting.
going to say, I feel like we have less restaurant recommendations from this year directly.
Right.
Like we have like a list of like amazing restaurants that we love.
Nowhere, Hanks.
No worries. Rosemary's
Yeah.
amazing. But we've more of like not worked with, but like supported local suppliers.
Yes, that's been the biggest.
Yeah, like we signed up for a CSA box for the first time this year.
Yep.
Which is community supported agriculture.
And who's that through?
We got it through Square Root Farm, and we
Yep.
just ordered it online through Local Line. And we got it for, I think it was 16 weeks over the summer. And then we also signed up for their fall box. And basically it's like
It's like
you just get
$30 a week,
box of vegetables that we went and
but like
picked it up at
mind-blowing
Philippi.
volume of vegetables and all so tasty.
Oh, so good. And things we wouldn't have cooked with. Like we ate so many more vegetables than we ever have before. So we did that. And we the house guys, like we got so much of their stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Shout out to Shane and Kyle.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
love
right. Though
them.
I would say the last year has been more defined by specific suppliers
Yeah.
that do very specific things.
Mhm.
Like
working
culture.
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you talked to them?
No, so like,
Oh my God,
okay, so
talk to them.
before
Oh my God.
last
it's
October,
perfection.
before last October, when everything those new restrictions came in place, and I'm like, I don't want to do
Oh yeah,
this
because they were on
online.
your list, right?
Yeah, so it was. I was supposed to talk to you guys
Mhm.
and talk to them the same week, and that's the week when everything shut down.
Yeah.
So that's when everything ended, and I haven't gotten back in touch yet with them, but I will be talking with
They're
them.
another one of those businesses that just you can tell they care so much.
Yeah.
Every single loaf of bread is perfectly caramelized on the outside.
Oh, and their cinnamon buns.
It's the best
and their
cinnamon bun I've
pretzels.
ever had.
Oh, hands down. But it's all so consistently good. It's not just like, oh, I went there once and then the next time I was like, it's every single
it's
time.
Like that cinnamon bun, like when I took it in my hands,
Yeah.
and I literally moved them like this,
Yeah.
and it was actually tearing.
Yeah.
Like it was so.
The chocolate chip cookies, best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had in my life. But you can tell every single detail of that cookie. It's where it's soft in the middle, where it's caramelized, where they've thought of every single possible permutation of that cookie or that loaf of bread or whatever. And
This is just the Quinn and Michela like fan show.
it's so good. Go
We
to
love
Working Culture as
support
well.
local.
Yeah, local's great, but like these guys, they're really good. Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to them because I
should.
basically
And they're
haven't
so
at all.
lovely. They're so
I don't know them at
lovely.
all.
They're amazing.
So I think that'll be a cool episode
Yeah.
because I know like Dan at 49 Below, he's good friends with them,
yeah.
and he said the same thing.
Yeah, they're legit.
They're lovely and they care.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
What's your favorite bread there? And have you tried their pizza? Because they just started doing pizza.
No, we didn't do
We
it.
had the flatbreads. We've had the flatbreads.
They do like the lunchtime flatbreads, but they were doing legit pizza
we always get
this
their
week.
city loaf, which is kind of the just
Classic.
standard, straight up classic. And I can't I can't go to the grocery store yet. I hate grocery stores now, especially after this year, after getting awesome vegetables and awesome bread and awesome this. I see why grocery stores work because
And they have to.
convenience sells every single time, no matter what you're in. Convenience sells across the board, and grocery stores work because they make getting your meat, your bread, your coffee, your this, your that convenient. The quality is shit, but
well, not necessarily. At
pretty much all the
big
time.
ones, yeah.
But if you this last year, it's like going to Mile Zero, going to Working Culture, going to House, going to all of those.
Oh yeah, shout out Brad at Mile Zero.
Yes.
Yeah, Mile Zero. So that's the first time, like when he was at Divine, and I tried their vermouth at the little
Yeah.
thing when he was like sort of the guy that was at the markets doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, the first time you tried, it's going to hit this part of your
Yeah,
palate.
he did like the multi-sip.
so-
like,
he's
and then the
so
next
good.
part is going to
Yeah.
hit over here, and the
Yeah.
third one here, and like that was my first time meeting Brad.
Yeah.
And then
He's great.
they start Mile Zero, and fuck, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's
like
I literally bought a coffee machine just so I could buy his coffee.
well, it just the fact that you can go in there and get your own custom roast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how is that even possible?
yeah, so like we
But-
literally like
but
we
this is what-
changed from like I mean a year after the pandemic started basically like it was really 2021 where we started doing so much more. at
2020
home.
was defined by going out to tons of restaurants.
And so
2021 is
I feel like we're
suppliers.
supporting local, but like supporting local restaurants in 2020. But 2021 was we exclusively drink coffee at home now. We only buy Working Culture bread. Croissants from Fries.
The croissants
oh
are
my
ridiculous.
What about their pizza?
god, their
Byron's
pizzas
pizza
are
there.
so
Yes.
good too.
Yes. Also,
we haven't been in
also good. I
forever.
know.
Yeah,
I haven't
Sunday
been in there in
pizza at
years to
Fries.
have it, but like
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pizza's
I
legit.
feel like that's
It's
one of the
legit.
most hidden gem secret things in the
Well,
city.
because it's like
Yeah.
4 hours on a Sunday, and that's the only time you can get it.
Yeah, until they went out of
Yeah.
dough.
But all
Sometimes
their
it's less.
pastries, they're so crispy and buttery and like, oh my god, they're insane.
But this is what we were talking about. The
Yeah.
island, and also why I like Nowhere so much is because the island has so much stuff going on that exactly everything is a hidden gem. No, everyone's just getting their shit at Save On Foods and don't realize what's going on like three
Like,
doors
yeah.
down.
Like, do you ever
Yes,
go
down
up to
the
West
street.
Home to the tea farm?
I haven't yet. We met him at the Duncan Farmers Market. Had a really, really good chat. That's on my list.
It's such a cool little place. Like you go
We're
on
growing
this little windy road thing,
Yeah.
and you come to this little building, and it's got like the best tea ever inside.
Yeah.
And they're just harvesting all this tea, and like they're crushing.
Yeah.
They're crushing. But all the stuff they have in that little building, it's such a cool spot to go out to.
Yeah.
But they do an amazing job. Yeah.
Well, and I love businesses that focus in on one thing and like know what they do well and just like execute that. Like we were talking.
Infinity. Yeah.
Yeah, Infinity.
I was actually gonna, for some reason, earlier in this when we're chatting,
yeah.
they popped up in my head because they had me at their spot like a couple years ago. It was a day that they were crushing grapes.
Oh,
They had some
cool.
people from France here, I think,
Yeah.
and they had two different. I don't know what the machines are called. I can see one over there.
Oh, the like
Yeah,
ratchet
juice press.
Yeah. The press, and they had like the first
Oh,
one.
they were
where
actually using one of the whole like wooden ratchet. Yeah.
so they were
Yeah,
pressing
those
it,
things are the worst.
and then it.
They're so labor. It's so tiring.
Well, that's why they hired these guys, I think.
Yeah.
So they got the
I
juice
have
or
to do that
whatever.
tomorrow.
Oh, really? I don't envy you.
You don't want it. So
No, but they juice the first one,
Yeah.
then they put it through into the second one.
Yeah.
So they do it twice.
Oh.
But they invited me out so I could see.
you don't even know half the labor they go through. It's insane. Their sparkling wines are very kind of traditional champagne style, where you make a wine, you make a still white wine, and then you bottle it still, and then in each bottle they put a little bit of sugar and a little bit of yeast, and that yeast will eat the sugar and produce carbon dioxide, which will carbonate it in the bottle. But then
they got that little collection of stuff.
then you have the yeast in your bottle, which
So they're,
people
like,
are like,
stored upside
there's yeast in
down.
there. I want to see a clear drink. So they put it upside down for a while, and the yeast collects.
They have that holder thing
Yeah.
that holds all the bottles like
upside
that.
down, exactly. And it collects in the neck. But that means every single one of those bottles, they have to pop off
That's right.
the top. The yeast shoots out because it's under pressure, and then they got to seal it
Yeah.
really, really quick. And then they have to
Recap it.
it. So they've like bottled like.
It's wild.
It's an insane
so
amount of
crazy.
He
labor.
did one of them when I was there.
Yeah.
He showed me. He did it. The thing shot off.
Yeah.
That little bit shot out.
And they have to do that thousands and thousands and thousands of times over.
I almost had it wasn't actually a panic attack. I mean, I have had those in the past, but there was some anxiety raised when I was in their house
yeah.
or in their place there, realizing that they have all these bottles laying on top of each other. And if there's an earthquake, like this is not going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
It like gave me anxiety when I saw this, and I was like, oh my God. But like so they showed me the whole way they were doing stuff. And it was so cool to see, like the
Yeah.
procedure and just.
But
that's just it. They're so focused in. Like they were at Out of Hand Christmas show 2 weeks ago, I guess, and we were there too with both brands. And got to chat with both of them, and it's just lovely humans. but
100%.
also, but both of us were kind of saying how we admired each other for focusing in on that one thing and doing it really, really well. Like they're just doing sparkling. They're like crushing, like.
But you know, if a producer only does
only
this
doing
one
thing,
thing,
it's going to be incredible.
and has gone so far down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
you will get good value for your money because they care so much.
Like
Of
we
course.
like bitter things. That's always going to kind of be our jam, is like kind of interesting, weird, but bitter drinks. We're not going to make anything that's going to come off and be like super sweet. And they're not going to make anything that's not sparkling. And it's just like so neat to just like really dive into that one area.
You kind of like you like chose a lane and you're just going down it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like further and further.
And become the
there's
authority
so
on that.
much available in that lane that unless you go down that rabbit hole, I feel you don't get to learn about. You don't get to learn about kakinas and
Where are your words?
I don't know. They disappeared. Nonetheless, going down those lanes, it produces an understanding, I think, of that category and opens up a greater level of creativity, I think.
That's what I was just going to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, because you can go, oh, this Kina, this vermouth, this Americano. Each one of those has an even deeper set of layers that you can dive in. I think ultimately you end up making a better
product, but
Yeah.
I feel like it helps you understand the limitations too.
yes.
Is you can kind of, if you're getting to know something super, super well, you're like, you can know immediately whether two flavors are going to blend well together, or from like a botanical perspective, whether those are going to cancel each other out, or one's just going to completely overpower absolutely everything.
Well, I think a good example of that is our Rosemary Grapefruit Spritz. When I was doing the R&D for it, I think I just putting quinine in it, which was quite astringent and dry, and then
No, I think it was the other way around.
yeah, or just wormwood or whatever, and then gave you a sample, and you kind of had the same reaction, and then I made another sample, and the only difference was added a little bit of quinine in it, which you would think is like, okay, so you're just taking one bitter thing and adding another bitter thing, but the two of those combined just completely changed the drink and made it quite crushable, and that's and that's kind of our like benchmark for our drinks is
How crushable is it?
Do I want another one?
On a scale from 0 to crushable,
Yeah.
where is it?
not
Where is
necessarily crushable, but would you be
for the
be
spritz.
happy? Yeah, especially
Yeah.
for the spritz, but even the vermouth, would you be happy to drink an entire bottle? And if the answer is no, we should not make that product.
Yeah.
And
Everything I've tried, like these two and then the other three, easily drink a whole bottle.
Amazing.
And to be honest, that's exactly what we do is we come up with a recipe, and if we go, yeah, this is pretty good, we make a full 750 ml bottle, and if we're not willing to drink the whole thing, we need to go back to the drawing board.
But it was crazy with the rosemary grapefruit of just like what that tiny tweak, like we had done a couple different like kind of iterations of it.
Yeah.
It was not 100% right. And then it was literally just changing that bitterness, like the one ingredient, and it just completely changed how the drink
and just
went
made it
down.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just balanced it out.
So is it like with your stuff? Are you still constantly tweaking, or do you actually like finite like stop at a certain point with things? I guess you kind of have to. Like
That's a complicated question to some degree.
I wouldn't. Be,
Do you want to go down the regulatory wormhole?
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. Oh, geez,
I
that's
guess.
a whole
So
thing.
there was a situation with those gift sets that I had mentioned.
That's the start of it. Okay.
So maybe we could talk about this if you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yes.
So what was the story? Because I remember there was
there's
a
layers.
So when the gift sets came out, it was a gift set of the 3 that they made through Esquimalt Wine originally, like the original 3.
Yeah.
Little bottles, samples,
Yeah.
beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Like, and it was amazing value, just a fantastic little set of 3 that the packaging was great. You know, the small bottles crushed it.
Thank you.
But you would think that this is a really, really good idea because it's Christmas time or getting to be that time.
Yeah.
Great gift to give to people. Put it in this little package, looks perfect. But then when it comes to actually execute and get it out there, I remember there being a pretty
we had
detailed post.
two
Yeah.
separate barrier to entries on that product, and they were about 6 months apart. One of them resulted in us having to smash every single bottle that we had in stock. And
How many bottles was that?
Many.
Did you cry like the whole time?
6.
No,
It was,
we were
it was
in a
either 6 or
daze.
9,000
What?
of them that I had to by hand smash and destroy every single one.
9,000 bottles?
Yes.
Holy fuck.
Yes. In the middle of a fucking pandemic. So
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
Oh
we'll
my
get
God,
to that.
this
is such
That's
a-
midway through
Okay,
this whole process.
Let's go back to the start then.
Yeah, that's
which
July
actually the
2021.
process ended yesterday.
Oh.
We have a resolution.
Yes.
But, okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Congratulations.
But 1 year
Rewind.
ago,
I would have
Thank
brought
you.
you like a cake or something to
Thank you.
celebrate.
okay, I'll try and not get too
Yeah, let's
detailed
do,
into
like,
this. The
skim
brief synopsis.
Baseline.
So almost 1 year ago, we in November came out with our gift sets, and there is an immense amount of liquor regulations that isn't. It's buried in, like, you get a document that's 120 pages and you have to find the one sentence on this one page, blah, 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 blah. There's no good user interface to find what applies to our business. And
So is that up to every producer to look through this
Yes.
thing and try and you have to dissect every word?
You have to know.
oh, good God, you
your
have to know
regulations,
everything.
yeah.
One of the things I didn't find out because
And there's no one to ask. Like if you have a question.
I didn't know I had to ask, to be honest.
Okay.
So in this scenario, we had made in years previous gift sets for Rootside, and we did them in 150 ml bottles. So when we started making the Esquimalt products, we went, great, let's do gift sets and let's use the same bottles because our equipment works with it. Great. So we bottled our aperitifs.
Two out of the 3 products.
Yes. Yeah. At the time, 2 out of 3 into 150 ml bottles. And when
But so just to give you a sense of the scale, so each product that we were bottling, we did 252 cases. So 12 bottles times 252, which I don't know what that
and
is.
the little
I can
tiny
do it.
bottles that, like, it's an immense
So
amount of labor
labor-intensive.
for those little bottles.
So it's over 3,000 bottles.
Yeah. All filled and labeled by hand and blah.
So we've done over 6,000 by that point.
And when we went, because every liquor product needs to be registered with the liquor board. So when we went to register them, they went 150 ml is not an approved size. You can only bottle in 50 ml, 100 ml, 200 ml, 250. But for whatever reason, you cannot do 150 ml.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a federal regulation, not a provincial one. But the federal regulation says that only applies to interprovincial trade.
Or international.
Which means you cannot sell that package size out of province. But the liquor board said, no, that's not how they interpreted. You just cannot make that. So what we actually ended up having to do was to get I think it was the assistant director or the director of the Canadian
Food Inspection
Agency to write the liquor board a letter saying that, yes, our interpretation is correct. It only applies to interprovincial trade. So long as we only sell it within BC, we can bottle in any size that we want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Hurdle passed.
But that was like 2 weeks, like delayed us getting the like sleeves for the gift boxes printed.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because we were dealing with all sorts of supplier
Like, we-
things. Yeah.
Told them to pause it, obviously, because we didn't know whether we were going to be able to use them. And yeah, so anyway, we were able to bottle them, which was great.
Yeah, that was a whole shebang. Great. Christmas went awesome. And then
It's basically just a
so the
timeline.
next regulatory hurdle is, so I kind of have to get into the weeds a little bit
Yeah,
here.
go for it.
There are
Just
two
send it.
Pew. There are 2 types of winery licenses you can get in BC. It's the same thing with distilleries. You can get a commercial license or a land-based winery license, or in distilling, it's a craft license. Commercial license means we can buy wine from anywhere in the world, and there's not really many restrictions, but the caveat is the liquor board will take a markup. And for us, that worked out to about 35% of our revenue, or $8.50
54 cents, I think.
per bottle sold. So every single bottle we sell to date, we've had to give $8.50 to the liquor board for I don't know what, even sample bottles. So when we sample somebody, we still have to pay the LDB
Yeah,
there.
so any giveaways or anything.
Yeah.
We're still
That's
they
that's
take
crazy.
and that's
their
even though,
money for
like,
it.
yeah, okay, we could have bought wine from anywhere in the world, but we decided, it's important to us to buy from the island. So we got wine from Venturi Schultz in the Cowichan Valley. Sorry, drinking carbonated.
There's stuff, Venturi Schultz, and again, I found out about it through Hanks.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh,
my
yes.
God.
Yeah. So actually the Venturi Schultz dinner that happened there like 3 months ago.
That's
That
what
was
it
the one I
was.
wanted to go
Yeah,
to.
I was
That's
there.
the one.
So Yan that owns Bon Macaron,
Yeah.
him and his wife were sitting right beside me and Natalie.
Mhm.
So like I just had an amazing time because like they're awesome.
Yeah.
The food's awesome. You know, Venturi Schultz,
That's
she
the
was
dinner
there.
we were trying to go to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't go into it. I'm sorry you
Also,
weren't there.
fanboy Venturi Schultz, everything.
A million
Drink
percent.
everything.
Their
A million
vinegar?
percent. I
Their
haven't tried the
balsamic
vinegar.
vinegar.
Oh
Oh,
okay.
no. I have to go for my dad
God.
then.
Go buy a bottle of balsamic vinegar from the grocery store and go buy one of theirs and just do a side by side. It will change your life forever.
Or if you go into their little tasting room,
Yes.
Marilyn will sometimes give you a sample of
Yeah.
the good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
see, I want
like-
to sit down with her too.
But
Oh,
you
do
need
do a
it.
podcast.
You need to do that side by side though, comparing the generic stuff to theirs
Yeah,
to
it's wild.
really understand what their
like
effort.
the care that goes into
Oh,
it. Again.
it's ridiculous. Okay, regulations.
Tenants.
Tornado zone back in.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So the tornado can keep on track because he's so fired up about this
Oh,
one
God.
thing, though.
I love it.
Yeah.
so we've been operating under a commercial license, and despite us sourcing 100% of our wine from the island, we still had to pay. Whereas on the distillery side, all you have to do is source from the island, and that's fine. You can have your craft license, but for wineries, it doesn't matter where you source it from. If you're a commercial license, you have to pay the LDB their cut. The other license is a land-based license, which means the only way to get that is you have to farm 2.5 acres of that fermentable sugar source. So in the case of wine, it's grapes, or cider, it's apples. That's the only way you can get that, is if you own or lease land, which is ridiculously expensive.
Well, it's gonna be hard for you guys.
There is a loophole. I
Okay.
wouldn't call it a loophole, but for mead and for honey, you don't, because hives aren't bound to the land, because they're the apiary beekeeping industry, you basically move hives to different fields that needs to be pollinated. So we are now leasing 55 beehives that pollinate various different fields in BC in order for us to meet these requirements. But the benefit of getting land-based is we get to keep that $8.50 per bottle.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh, it's game-changing.
Yeah, it's massive.
Honestly, Esquimalt under a commercial winery license is not a viable business. The only thing that has made it viable is Rootside, because we're basically taking the money we make from Rootside and funding Esquimalt, because the liquor board is taking so much.
Like to have a commercial winery license or a commercial distillery license, like you need to be doing volume.
Yeah.
Which for
And that's why it's called
obviously-
commercial, because
Yeah.
it's to make the margins work. Yeah, exactly. You have to be doing a ridiculous
It's for like the
volume.
nude vodka sodas and like
Just-
a lot of beer, and you're just pushing volume.
insane volume,
Yeah.
which we're not doing that. And because
And it sucks because like this is stifling innovation.
Oh, 100%.
Because like small batch stuff, I find in general is where the real like things are being tested and new ideas are coming.
so at that small scale, the business model
is
fundamentally
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
The only way it does is if you get land-based. But to do that, the barrier to entry is huge, because you have to own or at least 2.5 acres in
Yeah,
BC.
Small businesses,
You
who
can't
has
do
that
that.
money?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've, over the last few years been able to kind of save up and squirrel away and figure out our financials to allow us to lease 55 beehives and also commit to using 100% BC honey. But where this gets complicated is we can now only ferment honey. We're not allowed to ferment grapes. If we wanted to say ferment grapes or apples or blackberries, we would have to farm 2.5 acres of that fruit.
Okay.
So part of the issues that we had is so we've been compliant for a land-based license since July, but just going through the auditing process of them kind of picking apart every little thing that we do, we ran into just some silly hurdles. Like our Spritz, for example, they had determined or assumed it. One of the requirements is that it is made using traditional wine, cider, or sake making techniques. And because this was a carbonated mead and the regulations weren't built for mead, they just assumed it wasn't traditional.
What does that mean, traditional?
Exactly.
Isn't that, it's interesting that sometimes when things are, there's something like a rule set.
Yeah.
But then even if you want to go and ask, so what does that mean?
There's no
And
definition.
there's no answer.
Oh, no, and they couldn't answer it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because the regulations were set up for grape wineries. Mead, they had no idea what that even was. So
Like they put it almost as like an afterthought of like,
Yeah.
oh, we should include mead because you can ferment honey.
Yeah.
But like,
Because it produces an alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
So we're just going to shove it in that thing
but
over
I
there.
don't think anyone knew what that was.
So we've been they didn't really know how to handle us. So we've just been thrown through the ringer in every step of the way. And what happened with the Spritz, they said we couldn't produce it anymore. But it turned out it was just because we called it an aperitif wine. And we've now on the back in this little tiny spot, it says aperitif wine because it meets the federal definition of aperitif wine. Now we've changed that to mead and now we can make it. It actually had nothing to do with traditional, but that's what they told us.
But like Quinn sent them like literal
So you said to change a word.
printouts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Quinn had sent them literal printouts from
Recipes from the 12th century being like this, literally the recipes we're using predate the Confederation of Canada by 200 years.
like this
And
is
you're
the
telling
process
me
we're
this
following.
isn't traditional? Are you kidding? So that was one issue. And then with the gift sets, one of the problems we ran into is now we can only ferment honey. But previously, all of our vermouth, the base wine was a blend of Venturi Schultz, white wine, and mead. So it was, roughly, not quite, but roughly 50-50 wine and
Because
mead.
you still, with a commercial license, you still have to ferment a certain
Yes.
portion of it on site.
Yeah.
There's a limit. You have to do 4,500 liters of wine that you actually ferment.
Okay.
So we did mead because we felt like that was more approachable for us to do.
Yeah,
From
lower
not a-
barrier to entry.
Yeah, from a not winemaking background.
Yeah.
And then we use Venturi Schultz because we love them and have an amazing product.
And the Quina Rouge is no longer. We're not allowed to produce that product anymore.
Oh, really?
because it has red wine in it.
It was Vancouver Island red wine.
Oh, no. And that was the blueberry one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Because that had red wine, we're no longer allowed to produce or sell anything that has grapes fermented.
That's the one I have the least of left.
Yeah.
I saw there was one bottle at Tudor House like last
Yeah.
week.
So that's why we had to destroy all of those gift sets, because when we had made them, the batches were still the base wine was a blend of Venturi Schultz wine and our own mead, and we couldn't sell it anymore, so we had to destroy it all. And actually, that was 6 months ago. We've been able to sell it for the last 6 months, but they wouldn't even review our application until it was all gone.
Yeah.
So we couldn't even
Which was
start
the killer.
this
So we
process.
had all this product. Like I don't know how many bottles we destroyed, but
Yeah.
like in the thousands.
And these were all ones you'd already labeled and all that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
no, they were like packaged,
Ready to go.
ready to go. They were, a lot of them were in gift sets already.
Yeah.
So we had to tear the gift sets open and do that. But instead
Because
of
like the
saying,
gift sets are, the gift sets
They're
were made
perfect.
with 3 slots,
Oh, yeah.
not 2.
yeah,
There's
Oh,
3.
but the Quina and all the vermouth in there
The
all
vermouth
had to be
also
destroyed.
all
was
of
the
it.
same.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, because that original blend was wine and mead, and now we've since transitioned to 100% mead based.
I see. Okay.
But
But instead of like letting us keep those gift sets, which would have been fabulous to
and
sell
we could
over
have still
this
been
like
selling over the last 6 months.
like that happened end of July where we destroyed everything. But like we could have had 4 months of still selling, and they could have been like, okay, we're going to do the conversion, and then when we tell you the date, you then have to destroy any remaining stock or whatever.
we had
like
to
that.
destroy it before
Like,
they even
logically,
reviewed the
that would make
application.
That
more
would make
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they just
Because you're kind of in a position then where you have to keep going.
yeah, like
But-
the option would be to just
So you could have said, no, we're going to sell these. Then they're like, fine, then we'll just wait then.
exactly.
And then you guys would have got a whole bunch of time where you would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Where we literally wouldn't have had anything to sell, because it takes
That's right.
it takes 4 months for us to make our vermouth.
That's right. So you would have had this whole gap in time.
Yeah.
Like honestly, if we didn't have
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, if we didn't have Rootside and the non-alcoholic side of things propping everything up, this whole thing would have caved. And we've strategically, because of this, we thought we'd get that license changed quickly, but it's been almost an entire year for it to be approved. And as a result, we haven't really come out with any new products because anything we come out wouldn't be viable. So
we've been putting the brakes on that whole side of the business, which is everyone likes alcohol. So it's the one that people are excited about.
Like
well, especially too when, I mean, you guys are going down and winning awards.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that?
Oh yeah, the Kino won a double gold, and and then a week later we destroyed all of our stock.
That's so fucked.
Yeah, it was
using 100% local BC ingredients.
Yeah, that was
in the
thing
middle of a
yeah,
pandemic.
Yeah.
And the government is telling us we have to destroy it because it's local.
Okay.
I know.
We're leaving all the negatives behind.
But it's just the fact you guys had to do that, and it was like,
yeah,
oh no,
yeah.
I don't even really.
Yesterday, we finally got the email that said,
as of Monday,
that as of this Monday, we will officially be a land-based winery, which means that whole side of the business is now.
So there's going to be very many new Esquimalt products.
It's now viable, which means we can actually start making new products now. Because we've been kind of pumping, really stagnating that side of the business. And now we can kind of go full tilt.
Have you been able to like come up with new stuff in the meantime that you just like haven't been able to produce?
Oh yeah, we've got a
couple recipes banked already. And
a whole recipes, labels, the whole
is prepping stuff.
We've had stuff just sitting there for 6 months.
Oh wow,
that we can't do anything with.
Do you think that what would be the bright side of this? Well, like what? So, like there is that pause.
If it happened 6 months ago,
like if it happened 6 months ago versus now, what are the differences? Like what's a positive? Are there any positives of that delay? Because sometimes, like when bad things come up, it can lead to positive things, or is there like nothing?
It's probably cost us $100,000.
Oh my god!
And for a business of 2 people, that is game changing. Like,
of course.
Yeah,
and in this case, it's not game changing; it's devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how you survive that. So it's incredible that you're able to.
Basically, because we have the two, like we have Rootside kind of doing everything.
But it's incredible that Rootside is able to sort of allow for this innovation. Because like with these awards that you guys won, so what were the awards? It was down in San Francisco.
So it's the San Francisco World Spirit Awards. Yeah. So we submitted in 2020. We just had the Rosso. We hadn't even released the dry vermouth yet. So we sent down, and that's like, oh man, sending samples to the US of alcohol is complicated. Holy moly. So finally got that all sorted out, but we won a gold for the first year. So our
2020,
2020,
the first iteration of our recipe that was the blend of Venturi Schultz and our mead as the base.
So you send that thing down there.
Yeah.
And what were you expecting when you sent it down? You just kind of wanted to do it and see what happened?
We thought it tasted really good, but it was kind of that I don't know, we're sending our little baby off into the world.
I think I honestly did it more for the tasting notes because it's interesting to have third parties give tasting notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that was and
we got gold.
I can't remember when we got the results back, but it was some point somewhat early in the pandemic. Was it March?
It was
or April.
March 16th.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So we had this great news, but the world was collapsing and
it was a lovely little bright spot, but it was kind of not the time. But then for the following year, we submitted all the 3 of our products that we had. So the Kino we came out with summer 2020 and dry vermouth Feb 2020.
And the dry vermouth and the Rosso that we submitted were after we had switched the recipe to 100% mead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we submitted the 3 products, and again, nightmare getting those to the US, but we did it. And and then we won double gold for all, we swept with all 3 for double gold, and all the double gold means is that every judge agreed that it deserved a gold medal.
So when all judges unanimously say this gets gold,
you get a double gold.
You get
You
double,
get a double
whereas you
gold.
only get gold
So we got
if like
triple double.
9 out of 10 said gold and one guy said silver or something like that.
Yeah.
And so is there like there's no triple level, right?
Best
There's
in
a-
show.
Yeah, there's best in show,
Yeah.
which we didn't get.
Or like best in category.
Best in
kind of
class,
thing.
yeah. I think it is.
But like the fact that you guys like how I mean, this is a world competition, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's cool. Just to
How
have
blown away were you guys though? Like last year when you sent off your one, and then you find this out that you get
Oh,
gold.
that was amazing. And then when I got the email, I literally had to double check. I like did a full on double take.
Did you think it was like a scam or something?
a little like it just felt very unreal.
It's nice to have that kind of like third party validation of okay, we make it, so we're biased
and we like it.
and think it's good.
Yeah.
But it's really quite lovely to have a panel of people
Experts.
you've never met who drink a lot go, this is also good. It kind of gives us a bit of hope, which is
And
lovely.
for a product that sits on the shelf,
Yeah.
that's hugely beneficial too. It kind of gives a consumer who's never heard of us that like little bit of verification of like, no, like this is actually worth.
your money
the
will be
money.
well
Of course.
spent.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like again, I don't want to go back to nowhere again, but like I say, like
Let's
they were
go
the
back.
fifth best new restaurant in Canada by En Route magazine a
Yeah.
couple years ago.
Well, and that's
And
the-
that's kind of the way I introduce it to people.
Totally.
Restaurants, you can read reviews, but for unless you kind of get onto those specialty websites for a lot of alcohol, it's not like you Google our vermouth and you get like 100 Yelp reviews on it.
Yeah.
So the whole kind of awards industry kind of exists to fill that gap where it gives the consumer confidence knowing what they're buying because this little sticker is on it that said, hey, somebody else said it was good. Which is again, it's huge for
Well, it's
small
that instant
business.
credibility.
Yeah.
Like even like me going in there, I know nothing about alcohol, but if I see like that you guys have that award, I'm like, okay, well this must be good. I don't know what that means, but if it's a world competition and it's obviously a big deal.
Oh,
There you go.
it helps immensely. Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing too is like this is the packaging that you guys have. Because like
let's talk about Elaine.
Yeah,
so
that's fun.
You go. Was there
Yes.
more you want to say about the award?
Oh no.
I don't want to sidetrack too quickly.
I did want to go back one step because your original question was, have our recipes changed?
Yeah.
Was that the original question?
Yeah, well, how we got into all the regulatory
Oh, okay.
blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah, blah. Because consistency for us is super important, but we've had to make slight little modifications to our recipes to meet the regulatory requirements, like switching from half grape wine to 100% mead. The fun thing about mead is you can make mead taste like wine. It's I would argue is the most versatile alcohol that exists. You can make a mead taste like beer. You can make it taste like cider. You can make it taste like wine. You can make it taste like vermouth. All sorts of things. That was the only little point. Art labels.
Oh, art. Yeah. So
So to say about the art though, it's the first thing that like when you go to a market,
yeah.
because you guys I think are at like every market possible. Pretty
less
much.
now, but yeah, there was a point.
2019,
actually, that was
we were
interesting.
doing like between 8 and 11 markets a week.
No,
That's
not
so
that many.
insane.
We were doing between like
You know,
6
you
and
organize
6
all
and
of
10.
I know I would see you at them or I'd see Nadia.
Yeah.
It seems like
yeah, Quinn doesn't go to the markets. He
No,
doesn't know.
I'm just stuck here toiling away in my tanks, and yeah, they're out there. in the
but
world.
like the just the posters you got done up with like the like the Rootside packaging.
yeah, just
Like
the labels
full,
on them.
The full posters that are done
Totally.
up that look like these like medieval I don't know what the word is for what I'm looking for. Like folklore
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
type stuff. Like
100%.
yeah. We kind of on the Rootside front went
Like ancient
ancient
sci-fi.
kind of vibe going on.
Yeah, so we had knew we wanted to rebrand because we were just doing Quinn was doing our label design and it was
Yeah.
just like a solid color with text on it. It was fine.
But my drawing skills are significantly limited.
Actually, we can
I should-
show you.
I should post. I made a copy of the Esquimalt label myself.
like
Yeah?
a mock-up. Oh,
Oh,
it's so funny.
bad.
It's hilarious.
And I was
Please
like,
post it.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
this myself. And then I
and I looked at it and I was like, no, we're not.
yeah, and then I looked at it and realized it was absolute shit. And then we decided to hire people who really know what they're doing.
was
who
it
can
like little
actually
stick
draw.
birds?
It was like a
clip
stock
art.
photo, and it was like a stock photo of a seagull on a Campbell's soup can.
That's
Okay.
what it looked like.
Yeah.
But he didn't mean it to look like a Campbell's soup can.
No, yeah.
But it looked like a Campbell's soup can.
Anywho, so Elaine Champagne,
Best name.
yeah, he runs an agency called Creatures of the Night, and he's an incredibly talented designer and illustrator who approached us like cold call because he also does the design. He also does the labels for Arbutus and Stillhead and House.
Yeah, he reviewed House's labels.
And was like, hey, your labels, he didn't say this, but it was definitely what he meant was, hey, your labels suck. If you ever want some good stuff, call me. In a very nice, civil,
very
lovely,
way.
professional email. But fundamentally, that was the gist because our labels did suck. And I went, yes, I agree.
That's amazing when somebody can sort of put that out there in a way that someone's able to receive it and be like just, yeah.
Well, he saw that it was just like no design to it, really.
Yeah.
It was just like a color with some text and it was fine, but it's not eye-catching. And like literally, if you're going to be a retail product, like that's all you need.
How many people buy wine by the label?
Yeah, I mean, I go in, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
okay,
the first thing is
actually
gonna
what I
catch your
do is Vivino. I break out my phone and I start scanning labels.
But
Yeah.
that's a whole higher level than 99%.
I know,
of-
yeah.
of
I'm a
everybody.
tech guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm like, I want a 4.0 as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Where's the like Venn diagram of those
Yeah,
lines?
and
Yeah.
I went to art school. I was surrounded by artists for a long time and tried to go down that route via graphic design and photography. So kind of love it and want to support it. And with our labels, it was kind of that thing where you can spend a whole lot of money on getting like foils and cool textured paper and custom bottles and all sorts of things, but if the labels aren't done really well right off the thank you. If your labels aren't done really well right off the get-go, I think
That's okay.
You keep turning
Hello.
away.
That's okay. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
Yeah.
this is why I need her in my life. You can spend a whole lot of money on packaging on repeat, but if you just start off with spending good money on good, talented people,
On design.
you will have a piece of art that, frankly, you can print over and over and over and over again in a way that has
Impact.
an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is why our market display are literally just our
it's our
Rootside
labels.
labels
Yeah.
onto posters.
beautiful.
And the amount of times that people come up, which have been meaning to do, but say, ooh, can I buy a poster?
Yeah.
But we did that on
Um,
purpose because we want people appreciate art, and a bottle is this wonderful just square that you can throw art on. Like nobody reads text, nobody reads signs, nobody reads the information on a bottle.
No, we know because everyone comes up to the markets and say, are these the same products?
Are these
And
all
point to-
ginger beers? Do they all
Yeah.
taste the same?
One of my
like-
favorite photos I've ever taken at a market is the Rootside display.
Yeah.
It was
thank you.
like symmetrical when I look at the lines and just everything, the way it's laid out. This photo that I took,
Yeah.
I think it's actually might be my favorite I've ever taken.
Oh, thank you.
Just of like your booth. No one was standing in the booth.
Yeah.
It was just the booth and the way it was all laid out. It was just there's something. I love that photo so much.
But
Thank you.
to be honest, our farmers market is a good example. You can throw a ton of effort into making a really spectacular booth, or you can get really awesome art and put that up.
And
And
have
it,
that kind of speak for you.
yeah.
Well, and that's a big thing too. I mean, we haven't really talked about the pandemic, which has been a nice change. But
that'll
just
come up. That's
okay,
down here
okay.
somewhere.
Nobody likes talking about that.
but just how much our business changed from being
Yes.
so market and event driven to being like so much more on the wholesale and retail front, like just wholesaling to grocery stores and that kind of stuff. So we went from being able to really talk to our customers and explain our product. Like it is premium, it's a concentrate, so you get a ton of drinks out of it. But to go from that where we're really like interacting with people to just having it sit on the shelf and kind of have to speak for itself, having a label that at least caught someone's eye enough to pick up.
Because
That
at a
was,
market,
like,
you can smile
game-changing.
at somebody and go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Want to try some ginger beer?
and catch their eye.
Yeah.
But on a retail shelf,
It's the labels doing
Yeah.
doing that for you. So having done that kind of rebrand before, I think was like the most beneficial first step for us, kind of getting through the pandemic, because we had to shift so much to doing more
65% of our revenue was from farmers markets and events pre-pandemic,
like Christmas shows and then the weekly.
And now I think it's like 15%,
Wow.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
everything else is now wholesale and like selling at other stores.
Yeah.
Our Rootside labels, I'm a sci-fi junkie.
Mhm.
So we kind of went the sci-fi route there, and then the Esquimalt labels, who doesn't love like the kind of classic Amaro martini,
vintagey.
French Italian liquor posters, and like we wanted to kind of go that route. I mean,
But it does lend itself really well. It's like I'm wearing the Rosso t-shirt,
Yeah.
the sold out one. You can't buy it. I'm sorry if you're listening.
Eventually we'll get more.
Yeah, but it lends itself well to different things, because like you're saying, you invest in it in like a big format.
Well, one of the requirements
shrink
that
it,
that we gave to Elaine, our designer, was it needs to work as a poster, because we wanted to be able to put posters up in liquor stores and restaurants and at markets and just kind of showcase good art. So for all, whether Rootside or Esquimalt, it has to work as a poster. What was kind of the one thing. And then for Esquimalt, we're like, okay, well, humans on posters kind of, especially illustrated, sometimes look funny, and it can be a bit hit and miss. Animals always look good. Okay, what's a regional animal? Well, we got whales, and
But that's Vancouver Island Brewing.
well, not only is
do
it Vancouver
orcas.
Island Brewing, but it's like 100 different businesses. There's so many like iconic.
We're like, no one
West-
likes seagulls. Let's put
Exactly,
that on our
like,
labels.
Seagulls are everywhere. I like seagulls. Nobody's using seagulls. Let's just like, we wake up every morning and there's like 10 seagulls on our like, they're just, any coastal community is seagulls. So
Of course.
we just went so far down into the seagull rabbit hole that we just said, okay, Elaine, we want like classic Italian, French Amaro posters, but seagulls.
Yeah, exactly.
It was basically.
And he did this.
What's
'cause
he like?
he's
What are you talking
so-
about?
No,
He was
immediately-
super skeptical.
yeah.
He's like, really? He's like, we could do all of these things, but you want seagulls.
But then he just was like, okay, let's do it.
And I have a
Did
bit
he
of a-
crush it like on the first attempt?
Oh God, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Like
It
literally
was-
the most minor of tweaks.
honestly, he'll send us like a vague sketch. I'm like, yep, let's go. Like every single label, he
He's so
just
good.
Loves you
knocks
then.
out of the park.
He's amazing.
We just let him do whatever he wants. It's great.
Well, and for the bitters, because I mean, we have I think like 9
Just-
of them now.
I was going to say there's like 7 or 9.
Well,
So
the
many.
shtick was the bitters. It was a makeup. So our Rootside labels are quite detailed, and there's a lot of kind of world building that we did, and
because those are going to be like we're always going to have those.
the flagships.
Yeah.
The bitters, our kind of pitch was make it a product that would exist in that like sci-fi world. If you were to walk into, a bar in that world, these products would be on the shelf. And that was all I told him. And then that's what he came out with.
But the little like on each bitters label, there's like a spot for like a little icon, but no direction. And he just it was like little Christmas presents. He would just send us like illustrations every once in a while, and like they're all so different and so out there.
Yeah,
But
and we have a lot
so
of
cool.
Rootside and Esquimalt labels banked that I'm really, really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. So you already have a whole bunch already ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to make labels like this, and
that are so detailed.
it would be way smarter for us to just have like our logo and a picture and then just change the name. But
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
exactly.
No.
Yes. So we kind of have to bank a bunch of labels ahead of time just because of the time commitment it takes to make things like this. But we think it's completely worthwhile because you see it on the shelf and it invokes an emotion. It catches people's eye and
again,
Well, just
we're
like the
supporting
Spritz there.
local.
Like the bottom seagull is looking up at the top one. The bottom one looks devastated that it's not having any.
No, don't tell him on it.
Okay.
Don't tell him on the podcast.
our
It's
little
the
Easter egg. that-
No, don't tell
okay.
him.
Okay, we'll
We'll tell you
talk
after.
about that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the label, the bottom one is like devastated because the top one's drinking everything.
Yeah.
The middle one's like close enough that it looks like you know, I'm
You might have a chance.
Yeah, I might have a chance, kind of satisfied. But the bottom one's just getting crushed by 2 on top of it. And it's just like, its world is just falling apart. The top guy's just getting drunk and he's happy.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I read that.
Yeah. And that is exactly what 100%. Yeah.
And I love it. It's delicious.
We kind of wanted to go with like, oh, this meat, you know, if you're just looking at the label, it might look like, hey, this drink is desirable because there's these seagulls trying to steal a little sneaky drink, and they're having fun. And that was kind of the shtick there.
Yeah, we have plans. I feel like this is still kind of like on target, but of doing like proper merch for Rootside because, like I said, we get requests so often for the posters.
Well, just at this point, like I've gotten into NFTs. And at some point, you guys could do like an NFT.
Yeah, no, that's a again. This is not a tech podcast, but that is a whole other interesting side of things. How I think the liquor industry entirely. There's been some touches on what NFTs could mean.
Well, Budweiser they changed. I think somebody changed their Instagram account to something.eth, and Budweiser now has like a Discord channel. And so, yeah, for anyone that doesn't know what NFTs are, they're basically digital photos that you can prove ownership of. But there's going to be a lot of utility for them in the future, and they're not going away. So this is going to become
one way I've been thinking about it. I don't actually think we've talked about this. It's another tangent that is how do we, doing what we do, how can we kind of take advantage of some of these technological advancements that are going on,
because we do have a physical product.
Yes, yeah, exactly. NFTs create a verifiable contract that if I decide I'm not interested anymore, I could theoretically sell it on to somebody else. So we've kind of been thinking about, kind of aperitif. Well, I've been thinking about, I don't know if it will ever happen if Michela lets me. We could kind of maybe create a little wine club thing where, say, you get like the first bottle off of every single product we make for all time if you can prove you own.
If you have like that certificate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
you
1,000,000%.
If
you own the wallet,
if you own
the wallet that has the NFT in it,
or this picture that has that certificate attached to it, is you can go, okay, this person. If you have that, you will get the first product of everything we ever make even if we only make one bottle, it's yours. And then if you decide that you don't want that anymore, you could then sell that to somebody else. And then that other person could have that benefit. Mm-hmm. But the neat thing about it is you can kind of assign a bit of a royalty to it. So that first person who bought it could say, for every time this thing resells, I want 5% out of that sale. So it's kind of like having little mini investors to some degree, is by us doing well, they also do well. Yeah, that's a
whole thing.
But I think there's a lot of room for alcohol producers to do things like that. I think there's some Scotch whiskey companies kind of getting into it where, like, say you're a collector, you could buy an NFT that is attached to a physical bottle, and if you want to drink that bottle, they'll ship it to you. But if you don't want to drink that bottle and just collect it,
oh, that's wild.
You could hold on to it. But then if you decide you don't want it anymore and you sell it, the bottle hasn't physically left a warehouse,
so it's totally safe,
but the ownership has changed. But whoever owns it and decides they want to drink it can kind of go, I would like it, and they'll ship it to you. So there's a whole lot of interesting things. So then the ones
that haven't been drank yet would be worth more. Because like another place that this is going to become very relevant, I think, is like with concerts. Oh, right? Let's say you go to a concert of like Metallica or whatever. Yeah. And your ticket to that event is going to be an NFT. Yeah. Like it's not going to be a physical thing. I want
to enter the Sandman, and you get to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get this digital thing. But let's say anyone that goes to like the Vancouver concert of that band, you might get an audio recording sent to you, like airdrop to you of the concert that you went to.
And nobody else gets that.
Nobody else gets that. Yeah. And you get this like little collector's thing of this special ticket that's digital that we'll be able to display in like our little display, like I don't know, like little frames or something.
Like trophy case.
Yeah. The other interesting like example of how it is starting to be used or may be used that I've heard is, say you're a gamer and you've invested all of this time and effort into building a character in a game. But now you're done with it. You beat the game, Mario beat Bowser, done. I used to play video games, but it was like the 90s. I haven't gotten back into it, so that's my frame of reference. But nonetheless, if you put all this effort and all this money and say you bought, special things in the game, but then you're done and you move on to that next game, all of that effort you put in is gone. But with NFTs, you could transfer all of those assets into another game, because each game will, have its own coin, have its own NFT or whatever. And you could then say, sell your assets to people in that old game who are still interested in it, get that coin, and then take that coin and buy something else in the other game that you're now into.
I mean, effectively you level up your character.
Yeah.
That character is more desirable because it's more powerful, but you can now, there's a way to transfer that to someone.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that I think it's going to be, again, this isn't like a
but we're both interested in these things.
But in the future, it's going to sound very strange right now. But in 5 to 10 years,
so did the internet in the early 90s. Like, what is the internet? This is email. What?
But the amount of people making their income from playing video games, and let's say
wild.
Farmville. Remember on Facebook, Farmville?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if within the next few years, there's going to be some Farmville game that's just as engaging as Farmville is, where you're growing your crops and stuff. You level up your farm and you can make a ton of money from doing this.
Like legit money. Yeah.
Yeah, legit money.
Yeah.
There's already parts of the world right now where countries where people are playing Axie Infinity, they're leveling up their characters. They're making way more money than they could actually make working in their country. So it's interesting.
That's why I think it is interesting, is because, yes, there's the money-making side of things, which I think right now is a big driving force behind the popularity, but there is also just the use case and how it gets used and how it will be used, that I think you've got the money plus the usability of it, and those two things combined, I think, is what's going to make it popular for people who love our stuff and want the first bottle off of every line. Who gives a shit what money they make at the end of the day? They want the product, or I want the whiskey, or I want this. It's the access to things. I think that's
access, and but you would be providing value to the person as well, because they would be able to resell it, right?
Yeah.
So they would be getting inherent value, not just the fact that they're getting the product that they want to get, but if they ever need, like, let's say they need some money or something, or the musicians and artists are huge, because when you resell these digital prints, like those royalties do go back to the original person. It's not just that they sell these prints and they're out like physically in the real world.
Yeah.
And now like this person could sell to that person. That original artist sees nothing from that.
Like we could give an NFT something to our like number one customer, and Carla, say if we died. Carla. Oh, Carla. She's the best.
Who's Carla?
She's our number one customer.
She's a woman in Vancouver. We haven't actually met her, but
Shout out to Carla.
Yeah, shout out to Carla.
She's so lovely.
She's so lovely. She just sends us lovely emails and orders products. And
she orders things, and also just sends us the most lovely, lovely, lovely letters about her. They're just lovely.
Yeah, she's just a lovely
It's like when you get one of these, it's just like it brightens your day.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
Fantastic.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And then we get an email from the LDB and we hate everything.
But
you got like a real nice balance going on.
Exactly.
But for example, we could send her an NFT that gives her some benefit, a discount, whatever. But then if she decides she hates us for some reason, but knows there's other people that also love us, she could then sell that access to somebody else and kind of benefit off of her kind of like early adoption, as it were. Anyways, it's
100%.
There's a lot of interesting things that's
I
trying to wrap my head around.
I think that the interesting thing about it for businesses is it's a way that you can, like, if you were going to give a discount, like you're saying, it's a way that you can, as a business, quickly potentially get a lot of capital.
Yeah.
That is going to
but like I
appreciate very quickly, and you can get a lot of money very quickly.
Totally. Like I could
reinvest back in the business and grow way faster than you normally could.
Oh, totally.
Rather than giving a discount code, we'll use Carla as an example. I could give her a discount code, but then that's kind of it.
Yep.
We would lose a bit of money doing that. She would save a bit of money doing that, but that's kind of it. Or I could say make an NFT that's a discount code, but with like a royalty stake. So we give it to her and then she gives that discount code to a friend like you could now. But if she did that, we would say make 5% off of that sale. So we're benefiting. She's also getting a royalty off of that. So every time she shares it, she's benefiting. And it just kind of is a neat little everybody wins kind of thing.
It's almost a way to reward potentially your customers who are like super loyal and diehards who like you from when you're small.
But they
and
also,
then if your business succeeds, they also
get rewarded for that love kind of thing. It's a really neat novel concept.
It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. Because right now I feel like, who knows what's going to happen. Right now I feel like us talking about this, people are probably zoning out.
But the fact that we're talking about this on a food podcast means like, no, there's, I think.
Let's circle back to,
it's only like 1% of 1% of people that are doing this. So
everyone's just like, yeah, okay, click, pause.
Yeah. They're done. Sorry about that, guys.
Regulations, NFTs, Jesus Christ. This is how my brain works. We could start talking about pasta. I've been doing that. Like there's all sorts of million different
three
things.
words.
Okay.
Custom made equipment.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you guys?
Everything.
Efficiency.
We talked about our walk-in cooler.
Yeah. So I don't know. So
that's a good.
So
example.
let's go back. I think we mentioned on here that I was going to talk to you guys like a year ago.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
I started prepping for this thing back then, and I'd written down custom made equipment, and I didn't actually know what that meant. So what does that mean to you guys? Because I wrote it down for a reason. I have no clue why.
I think literally like efficiency is the most efficient way to like summarize that. But
do you guys have like a ton of just custom stuff? Like the way you do things?
Actually, like I would say there are 3 custom pieces of kit that we built that have fundamentally enabled us to do what we do. One of them we upgraded and bought something better than I could make. First one, walk-in cooler, which shout out to Coolbot. If you need a walk-in cooler, check out Coolbot.
Is that a local company?
No, but it's local, pretty legit. So basically it's a temperature controller that you can hook up to a standard window AC unit that makes that AC unit think it's warmer and just keeps it on. So if you take that AC unit and you put it into an insulated box, which is all a walk-in cooler is, you can have refrigeration temperatures constantly maintained. So I mean, this is also a long story. Basically, when we moved to this warehouse, we got scammed on Craigslist for a used walk-in and paid a whole bunch of money to a guy that never sent us a walk-in cooler. And we had 2 weeks left before our health inspection with no walk-in cooler and would fail our health inspection without a walk-in cooler. So we went, shit.
Really? So you fail if you don't have one?
Yeah. Well, for our process. Our process.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
We needed to be able to refrigerate it.
Yeah, cold storage.
I see.
Yeah. But in order to get a cooler shipped, and installed was like 6 weeks, but we had 2 weeks.
And basically the timeline was when we moved over here, and then we had a couple of big like spring shows that we had to do, and so we needed to make product for those shows.
But we couldn't make product without the walk-in.
Make product without the health inspection approval, and we couldn't get the health inspection approval.
So we learned about Coolbot and basically built our own walk-in cooler, framed it, insulated it, and got an AC unit and plugged it in, and that was like 4 years ago, and it's working like a treat. And normally we were getting quotes between 15 and 20 grand for a walk-in of this size, and we paid 4 for a small,
not including our own labor.
Yeah, of course. But that's why they call it free time, because we do it in our free time and it's free. But for, again, a small business of our size, that kind of savings is gigantic. The other piece of kit was our pasteurizer. For the Rootside products. They don't have alcohol in them, so if we didn't pasteurize, they would go bad in a couple weeks. And bad product a business does not make. But we also didn't have $100,000 to spend on a pasteurizer, so I had to learn about heat exchangers and how to pasteurize our ginger beer and tonic and whatnot. So we built our own pasteurizer. The original one, I got what's called a sidearm, which is like a heat exchanger you normally put on the outside of like your boiler in your house. And I like daisy chained 7 of them together so that I could heat our product up to 74 degrees to pasteurize it to kill any yeast or bacteria that's in there. But I also didn't want to kill the flavor, so I had to then immediately drop that temperature back down to room temp. Yada, yada, yada. We did that, built it for maybe $1,000 out of what would normally cost $100. It was really slow though. We literally pasteurized today before you showed up. And
Our old pasteurizing days used to be
14 hours.
Oh, they were bad.
Mm.
No, 14 hours
For
was
like-
when we were like, had gotten good at it.
Oh, I know. But that was only for like 500 liters. Whereas
Not even. We weren't doing 500 liters. That was like 400 and under.
anyways, we've upgraded it and we can now do that in a couple hours, which is great. The other piece of custom equipment is our bottler, which is the one piece of equipment that we built within like our first year of business. That
It used to be on like a creaky wooden stand that Quinn built.
Yeah, but now it's on a metal rack. But yeah,
But same piece.
we built that bottler and we're still using it, and it's surprisingly still keeping up. And again, cost savings, a bottler that we probably do 350 bottles an hour off of that thing. That'll probably cost about 10 grand to buy something new, and they're probably like $800 into that thing.
Which we bought 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, custom equipment is everything.
But custom equipment, but also figuring things out. I feel like that's the biggest thing for our business. Like
but that's running problem solving.
But we were talking at the beginning, it's just like, haha, we don't know anything. It's just like, but we don't know anything, but then we try and figure it out.
Yes,
and how to do it ourselves.
We literally went into this not knowing we had to have a commercial kitchen, and then figured that out, and then more problems arose. The LDB is a recent problem, and that is our job, I think, as business owners, is to just figure it out.
I feel like the ironic thing is, so I went to UVic, and I have a business degree in entrepreneurship, but I'm also like a very risk averse person. So I didn't actually see myself being like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I just thought it was a really good way to like kind of broadly learn about business.
Generalized education.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was an incredible, like, I loved my time there and have incredible friends and learned a lot of like, I would say like soft skills, and just as far as like how to make a presentation or how to do research and how to like network and things that are important. But I saw a friend the other day from BCom, or from my like business degree, that I hadn't seen in a while, and he's like, oh, like, are you using stuff from school? I was like, no, like, one, it was so far like ago, like so long ago, and the best way to learn about business is to actually just like do it and be in business.
The best way to learn about business is to be in business.
Yeah, like there's no way I could have been like in school knowing exactly what I wanted to do and how to apply it, and it was just like jumping into it.
We've talked about this often, and I think it's when you're in that educational environment learning entrepreneurship, you don't know what matters and what doesn't.
But you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know that, the 10-cent difference between this bottle and that bottle is game changing. Mm-hmm. But until you actually have skin in the game.
And you're learning about like best case scenarios too, as far as like forecasting.
And you
like,
get into business.
My business plan.
And what happens when you get into business?
Nothing goes to plan.
Yeah, it's worst case.
Yeah.
I mean, it's once you have an idea or a problem comes up, that's when you just need to figure out how do you do this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's this podcast. Like, I don't know how other people structure theirs.
Yeah.
This is just what I came up with, and this is what I do.
Well, you asked that question of, is this how other vermouth makers make? I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess it's the same. I have no clue what other people do for their stuff here.
This works for you. This works for us.
Yeah. I just know that I was like, okay, I want to have video. How do I do that? I have 2 phones, use those. And then I wanted a unit for audio. So I got this thing.
Yeah.
I was originally going to get a smaller one, but I tried to look at what I needed. And then this thing is what I got. It's probably overkill, but it works fine.
But if it works,
yeah,
great.
I do want to go a little bit fancy though and get that new, like, the mic is like $530. But again, I'm like, I don't really need to do that. This one sounds basically the same. I would just be like appeasing like something inside of me that I don't really need to appease.
If you can get one of those mics to test, do a
I already know
side.
There's trust me that I've watched so many of these videos of people testing it.
Yeah.
There is a difference, but unless I'm doing it like, here's what it sounds like here. Here's what it sounds like here. Like you would never hear the difference. So really,
me talking back here when it's like, Quinn, just sit up to the mic and it'll sound better. I bet I would argue if you could figure out a method to get the people you're talking to talk closer to the mic, it would probably do better than a good mic.
Well, no, see, the good mic would be for me. My ego wants it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just like these ones sound fine. I don't need it. I don't know. We'll see. If a mic ever looks different on the camera, then people will know that I
You upgraded.
Yeah.
You treated yourself.
Inside, I'm like secretly like laughing and happy out of this spending all this money that I don't need to, and so I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
but I'm trying not to. So before,
there's so many bottlers. I yesterday, or was it today? Yesterday sent Michela a picture of a automatic bottler where all you have to do is put the bottles on and then they fill and cap and label and then you just take the bottles off.
Yeah.
I want one.
Eventually.
Well, but see that's an actual functional thing where it is a substantial upgrade, right?
We could get away just fine without it, but I want one.
But it's a big difference versus what you have.
Yeah.
Oh God,
massive.
yes.
So-
God.
Yeah.
Every single bottle that we fill, I have to physically turn on and off the valve that stops the liquid flow. So like if I miss a half second, that thing overflows and most often than not sprays my face.
Was the F word coming out there?
No. Sprays
I thought
my
you were going to
face.
say if you fuck it up. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Yeah.
I appreciated the pause.
I have Michela has a story of when I accidentally sprayed ginger beer in my eyes and
and then was super dramatic and was like, lead me to the
I'm
sink.
blind.
He was fine.
But yeah, because right now our bottler, I literally have to watch that liquid and just stop it every single time. And like I said, we're doing like 350 bottles an hour. So I'm just, and it's four bottles, a 4-head bottler. So I'm managing.
So 4 at a time?
Yeah.
They fill at different rates.
Yeah,
so basically,
you get into a rhythm.
You start one, and then when it's at a certain point, you start the second one, and then so on and so forth. So that like when the first one is finishing, the third one you're turning on.
What if you start daydreaming or something?
Oh, you can't. No. Quinn can't.
Nobody
have
can talk to me.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
this is too much pressure.
I've got to be.
So I can podcast. I like have my little Bluetooth ones, and I listen to a podcast. So I'm I would say like 99% of bottles that we've sold of all time, I've placed the cap onto those and sealed those bottles.
And got tendonitis in your hand from doing so.
And got tendonitis, and then we got like a capper that helps me.
Legit? Like tendonitis from that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I went to a walk-in clinic. This is when we were in Vancouver.
Oh, that was early then.
Yeah, because we were just hand tightening them, and we were doing mini bottles, and we call it the 6 weeks of hell. It was literally like October till mid-November of the first time we did mini gift sets.
A bottle a day took us 23 hours.
Oh,
solid.
yeah. I was like, I listened to the podcast you did with Shane and Kyle from House, and they were just like
Same thing.
laughing about how they were doing like
days.
stupid like 20-hour days or 20 plus
Yeah, they're sleeping
hours.
on the couch and
and just like delirious because you fuck something up or like you're cleaning while the cleaning staff are coming in, and it's just like a whole nightmare.
Yeah.
But again, looking back on those moments though, and like when you come to like a new level and you can look back on that stuff, it's cool to look back on it and think, oh my God, we were crazy.
This is why I want that fancy bottler, because I want to get that and be like, what was I doing for 6 years? Like hand filling every single thing when, you literally just put the bottles on and
they'll become some kind of nostalgia though, I assume for you.
Oh, it already is.
Yeah.
Even that, like, so that was, when we were in Vancouver, and it was honestly just like, I've never been more tired in my whole life. Twisting the caps, got tendonitis. I can't remember why I started this. We got the capper. I cap things.
It sucked. We've improved.
Oh, what were we talking about that just before this? I've lost my train of thought.
I'm the worst person to ask for that because I everything just, my brain's so full right now.
Oh, multitasking.
Goes in and out. There you go.
I suck at it. You're awesome at it.
Things. So I can listen to a podcast, and it's a very specific timeline of like
we
grabbing
get into
the bottles from Quinn, and then I put them on the labeler. But if Quinn has thoughts sometimes, and then like we'll try and start a conversation, but if I actually engage conversation with him, then he has to like stop the bottler because he's forgotten to like twist one of the valves or something.
Yeah.
I think we're very similar.
Yeah.
You and me.
I struggle with multitasking.
I can't do it at all.
Yeah,
it's out the window.
Yeah.
Like so it depends what I'm doing. Like at work, if I'm working with computers or whatever, and I like a lot of the stuff I do repeatedly, right?
Yeah.
Don't have to think about it, no
Yeah.
problem. But the second, like if I have to type something, I got to stop everything.
And if somebody's talking to you at that same time,
Yeah, but again, it depends. If I'm doing something I have to think about, forget about it.
Yeah.
No. Or I've gotten pretty good at like pretending like I'm sort of listening, but even then I try not to do
Michela's
that.
gotten good at knowing when I'm pretending.
No,
yeah.
so Quinn does this thing. Oh God, this is the benefit of like
Can you-
knowing your partner.
And can you tell we spend 24/7
Oh,
together
God, yeah.
because we both live and
know
work.
exactly what it is? But I'll say, oh, we need to do this tomorrow, or like start to tell him something or a story, and then I don't know, 5 seconds into that, he's like, oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Can you start over? And then sometimes I'll start over and get another like 10 seconds in, and Quinn will be like, okay, no, sorry. Now I'm listening, I promise.
Okay.
I get sucked into these
But you like
rabbit
are
holes
thinking
that
about
I can't get out of. and-
something else.
But is there ever like a third one where he's like, okay, now is the real time?
Sometimes. But like
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it that now, where I can be like, hey, okay, I'm about to tell you some information. Can you like lock in and confirm that you are ready to receive the
Yes.
information?
Yes, tell me the information, please.
But that's why we work well together.
Yeah, if you can recognize those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it could be a situation where that's like super frustrating and somebody would get pissed off.
Yeah,
or you can figure out a way that like
When
you
you
recognize that it's a thing and then you just work around it.
when
Yeah,
you're working
exactly.
this close with somebody, it is recognizing those flaws, recognizing you cannot change those flaws, and understanding how to work around them.
Yeah.
If you can't work around them, then that partnership, whether in love or business or whatever, will collapse. But if you can figure out how to adapt and work around it, I think it works.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like it would be, I mean, I don't like work with Natalie or anything, but I feel like if you can be around someone like in a personal relationship and a business relationship, and you don't want to like kill them, not kill them, but like get pissed off at them or something. Like if that doesn't happen all the time, then you're probably with the right person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's actually funny, like how many, I remember before we moved to the island, I was working at a restaurant too. And I had so many people that I worked with were like, I don't know how you work with like your boyfriend. Like, I don't know how you work with your partner.
don't.
Yeah. I mean, we're from that perspective, but they're just like, I couldn't be around that person literally 24/7, but it kind of works for us. And like, same thing. We're so like the business kind of, this sounds so lame, but like the business is our life, like not in like a workaholic sense, but like we're so just like in it and happy to talk about it and be doing it constantly.
But you're both
like,
excited, right?
Yeah.
Like you're
but
you're
if one
all
of
in.
us was, then it wouldn't work
No.
because
If I was like, oh my God, 100% about this one thing, and you just,
and I was working separately and couldn't understand
you'd probably
it.
get annoyed if I was like, oh my God, we have to talk about blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas because we're both in it, we can go, on a dog walk and,
Every time we walk the dog, it's basically a business meeting. I don't think there's a single time we walk the dog that we don't talk about the business.
But I think that's a special thing
Yeah.
because I think,
but that's our time to kind of like,
It's like meditative almost.
yeah, there's like there's nobody coming in, no deliveries, there's no external forces, and we can just kind of shoot the shit and figure problems
things
out in a
out.
very
Yeah,
kind of, I think,
problem
natural
solve.
way. And then we get exercise and the dog gets exercise.
but I think that's special.
Yeah.
Because I think that, like you said, everyone at their job or whatever was saying, how do you do that? Because I think it's so far to the realm of what most people would consider something they could do.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a very special bond. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're different enough that it works, but also the same enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like the fact that I saw a quote somewhere that said, we like weird wine.
Oh, yeah.
I forget where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere.
Some kind of a market bio, I think. That's what I usually submit. Or is that on the website?
No, that
still?
was your shtick. Weird wine was your term, and we were kind of pumping that for a while because that is what we do. But mead is wine. But the problem is most people think wine is grape wine.
Well, it's all grapes.
Yeah. So we've kind of moved away from that, even though it works well because we're now 100% mead based. But I think using the term wine is a little confusing. So we're slowly kind of backing off from using the word wine because originally we used a lot of grape wine, but now we don't. So it's
well, there even people who came by in the summer to the little bottle shop who were like, oh, like, yeah, we're here to see the winery. Like,
do you have Riesling?
Do you have Riesling? And I was like, oh no, we're not that kind of place. I was like, we have vermouth. They were like, okay, no. But so yeah, it's kind of a bit of a misnomer almost to be like, we are a winery, but it's not anyone's like.
But it's not what people immediately perceive
it's not their idea.
as a winery, is putting botanicals and weird flavorings and things in there.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the cool thing is that there is such a diversity within like the wine space.
Oh yes.
That like when I was in Japan and we went to like 2 sake breweries.
Yeah.
And like
sake, also oddly a wine, even though it's from a grain.
Yeah, from rice. But like looking at these 2 different places, one you would swear was a science lab, and the other one was more what you would think of when you think of someone that produces like wine or sake or whatever. Like that. So the one 100%
still both fall into that category, but
both
completely
are
different.
producing something in the same space, but 2 radically different situations.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Well, you look at some of the old wineries in France and Italy and stuff, and like Quinn's parents were over there not too long ago, and they were like, oh yeah, like it would not pass a health inspection in Canada because it's all just like wood barrels and wood ceilings and dirt floors.
Well, no, this wasn't a winery. It was my aunt went to like a syrup factory, so it was non-alcoholic.
Oh,
and
yeah. But even still, I feel like that applies to wineries too.
Yeah.
But then you can have like the other end of the spectrum, which is
very
just
clinical,
like,
sanitized.
Clinical is a good way of putting it. Like very like modern and just like.
This is kind of what I saw. Is that these 2 sort of ends of the spectrum.
This is one of the reasons why I am so excited and love making mead, is because I feel it can be any of those things. For example, you can make a low ABV, like 4% sparkling mead that drinks like a cider or a beer, or you can make one that drinks like a Chardonnay or Riesling or whatever standard wine comes to mind, or you can make one that tastes like sherry, or you could like make one that tastes like vermouth. Like the gamut of available things you can do with it is really fun and exciting.
So the diversity is way more immense,
and which is. It is, and why I'm so amazed nobody's making it.
That's so.
Like,
as you're saying this, I'm like, why are more people not using honey?
I don't know. Well, honey is out of all the fermentable sugar sources, it's the most expensive. But it's the most expensive, but it's shelf stable. I can get honey and ferment honey year round, whereas if I'm making grape wine, I can only ferment. I'm defined by that harvest time. I have to have.
What's that period of time at the harvest?
September, October kind of thing.
And so you have like a couple months where you can do stuff.
But that actually like that means process the grapes.
You need That means you need equipment that can process an entire year's worth of harvest
and plan accordingly.
Whereas with mead, I can have equipment where we're fermenting every single month, and it again. That barrier to entry, I think, is a lot lower because I don't need an a tank that does 20,000 liters. I can have a tank that's 2,000 liters. Or
and the rest of the year with like that huge amount of equipment, it's sitting there doing nothing.
Exactly.
And you need way more space to house it.
Which is nuts. I don't get it. So yes, the ingredient is more expensive, but your cash flow, I think, is much more reasonable doing mead, and also the levels of creativity that are available.
It's just like a blank canvas.
It is like you
with more potential.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're fermenting mead, or rather when you're fermenting grape wine, the amount of alcohol that comes out at the end is defined by the amount of sugar that was in that grape. Whereas mead is at its most basic, a combination of honey and water. I can define how much honey or sugar goes into that liquid, and thus I can choose what my ABV is. So if I want something low ABV and carbonated, or if I want something, fortified and super boozy, that's as a mead maker, that's my choice. Or if I want to say, add another fruit in there, like apples or blackberries, as I could, not under our current regulations, but everywhere else, you can ferment blackberries and honey together, or apples and honey together and make something really neat. Or you can ferment grain and honey and make something like a beer. You can do all sorts of different things. We found some loopholes that will allow us to do some neat stuff. But there's not another alcohol where I think you can do that and get away with that kind of stuff. And also there's no preconceived idea in people's head of this is what cider is. It might, you can't add cardamom to cider. Oh my God, it's not cider anymore. Like nobody has that idea for mead. It's like, oh, cool. That mead is this, and this. But I think that's also what makes it confusing. Maybe.
Well, there's maybe an
people too.
opportunity there that you can, because people don't really know what mead is, or maybe they've never heard of it. It's almost an opportunity where it's whatever you guys are making it, because they don't know any different. Mm-hmm. So like you can educate them,
which is exciting too from a producer's perspective.
100%, because then you have that you can go down the rabbit hole and start doing all these crazy things.
Yeah.
And there aren't those like traditional notions of what it is supposed to be.
And yet oddly enough there is, because it is, I mean, it's a little cliche to some degree, but it is the world's oldest fermented drink. Like it's been around forever. Like I said, the way we make our Spritz traditionally is called a small mead, and that was a term used in the 12th century. Like this is old stuff with very defined styles, but I feel in the last, say, 80 years, they've kind of been in living memory, has kind of been forgotten about. So the traditions don't exist. They're not as rooted in our culture.
Yeah.
They did exist and they kind of went away, and we're maybe hoping to some degree we can make people think about mead more and go, oh wow, there's actually a whole lot here, and I didn't know mead could be completely bone dry and not sweet, even though it has honey in it.
Would you have transitioned to mead on your own over time to be 100% mead? So
when we started making vermouth, we were, like I said, at least 50%, I think it was like 60% of our base wine for the vermouth was mead, and then the rest was wine. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday when we were in Vancouver. I was getting into that mead world then a bit, but never really pursued it. And then when we started making alcohol, that was kind of where we naturally gravitated. And again, talking about barrier to entry for us as a small business, I don't have enough money to buy 2.5 acres of grapes. Whereas I could buy a couple buckets of honey.
Well, and I think when we first made the vermouth recipe too, like we considered doing just 100% mead, but we kind of thought like our perception of like, will it be considered a vermouth? Like vermouth is traditionally white grape wine for the base.
Yeah.
And we felt that to meet our like license requirement, we needed to ferment the mead ourselves, but
would the consumer think of it
as vermouth if we didn't use grape wine in there? So that's why we did the blend. Turns out the consumer doesn't know what mead or vermouth is, so it didn't matter.
But also I don't think they care so much.
And they don't care.
Because does it taste like vermouth? If it tastes like vermouth, it doesn't matter if it was made with cider or grape wine or mead or whatever. If it tastes like it should, therefore it is,
Yeah.
It's almost like, the perception.
Like we were so concerned about that, but
but the perception might as well be reality. So if people taste it and it tastes like it should be to them, then that's all that matters.
And it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Exactly.
And that's an easy thing, I think, to get when you're in it in the moment. It's easy to lose track of that.
Yeah.
But also too, you might not know until you actually do it.
And we really didn't.
Oh, 100%. Another,
because you need to get it out there so people can try and get the reaction, right?
Yeah.
So, and
to see what people care about. I mean, I think one of the biggest changes we made when we first started Rootside is originally our bottles, we used to wax seal the tops of them. So now we have cap straps, we used to have black heat seals, like tamper evidence seals. But we used to do wax sealing, which was a nightmare.
Obviously all by hand again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we would like cut a piece of tape. This was my job. I would cut the little piece of tape, you'd put it around, make a tab, put it around the cap, and then we'd have a little pot that we'd heat up with the wax, which was actually a Vancouver Island wax company that they do all custom wax.
From Victoria.
Dip it in, like let it drip, and then put it there and like stamp the top of it. And literally the time that it took to do one bottle, I think it was a case or maybe even more.
Well, now we're at the point where we can seal the top of we can seal 24 bottles in the time it took us to do one bottle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was just so time consuming. But while we were doing it, we're like, oh, it's so cool.
Everybody,
it's small batch.
so fancy wax. Everybody cares.
Yeah. And we were so concerned about taking away the wax because we thought it was like what people liked about us. And like they were obnoxious to open and we were selling so much to bars and restaurants. Like,
Yeah,
it
nobody
was,
saw
it was a
that.
nightmare for
like,
them
it
to
was
open.
just like
Yeah.
behind the bar. Like, no, the bartenders probably hated it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just one of those small things too, where like we were thinking that people were going to care about this, and like in the reality, people want things that are like easy and then
Easy, convenient,
and they taste
consistent, and
good.
tasty.
Yeah,
Of course, they want as little friction as possible.
exactly. Yeah,
That's it. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind.
totally.
It's easy to lose track of that because I think that, speaking for myself, like I have an idea of the way I want to do something,
Mhm.
and there's reasons why I want it, but it's more about the consumer or the other person
You
on the
get
other
so
side.
in it,
I-
like
Yeah.
I can't remember where I heard this, but it's kind of been a bit of a mantra for a while now, is convenience sells. And no matter what you are doing,
1,000,000%.
for example, VicFoodGuys, the reason people come to you is because they don't want to go and do all of the effort that you are doing. So they come to you for that information because it is convenient. It's the same reason people go to a grocery store, because they don't want to go buy their coffee, their meat, and their bread from 4 different places across the city. They want to go to one place. It's the same reason people buy our vermouth, because they don't want to make it. So, you know,
I don't blame them.
when you can just buy it. And it's literally like that you could apply to anything. Is if you can make something convenient for somebody, people
yeah,
will
People
buy
like
it.
that.
Yeah,
Of course.
exactly. People like convenience. People
course.
like being efficient. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I had a point. I don't know what it was now. See, now I'm losing my.
we're good at distracting each other.
I had a really good one too. So before all of this, what was your history with wine? Like, was it, did you drink it very much? Or?
I liked drinking it. I honestly didn't know what mead was until probably, I think when we started Rootside is when I kind of, on the road trip.
We were in Portland and went to a meadery there.
Yeah, we did a road trip to the
I
US.
spent a while in Europe and went to a Renaissance fair in the Netherlands, and got good and drunk off of a lot of mead. And that was probably my first kind of foray into it. And then I was looking into how to make it for a while. But as far as making it goes, zero experience. And then we fell in love with vermouth and went, if we want to make vermouth, we got to learn how to make wine. Mm-hmm. So we spent a good 2 or 3 years in the background where that was just kind of all we were doing, just trial and error in absolutely every possible permutation. I mean, even just selecting the yeast that we use for our mead, we did a trial of, I think it was 8 different ferments, all the same ingredients, but the only difference was the yeast strain used, and then did a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, between
Really?
every single yeast strain, wrote down tasting notes of all the different variables.
We did that with Nadia, tasted all of them too. Yeah. We did like basically like a blind tasting.
But yeah, it was
with
like
her.
2 years of like really going down the rabbit hole, trying to figure out, okay, if I use this strain versus this strain, or this botanical versus this, what are the differences, and learning all of that, to then kind of figure out how to make the things that we're making.
That would be an intense day if you had 8 different ones. And then I guess you started like eliminating the one you like at least somehow, and then
at the end of the day, it was just like writing down tasting notes of everything we tasted, and then going to, yes, this one tasted the best.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, we do the same thing with all of our products. When we come out with a new product, we'll often do a blind tasting of, say, when we came out with our dry vermouth. Mm-hmm. After we did the recipe, we did a blind taste of like probably a dozen different dry vermouths from different companies, and made sure ours stacked up, and you could still call it a dry vermouth in comparison to all of the other ones.
So you had like a dozen there, and yours is one of them.
Yeah, and did it blind, so we don't really know which one is which, and just kind of made sure it hit those stylistic kind of.
What we liked about them, what we didn't like, kind of.
Were you able to pick yours out?
Yeah, because we knew it, but at
Right?
least that way
Yeah.
we could get a good
But
understanding of.
you knew if it was like in the ballpark,
Yes.
like in that
Exactly.
in that realm.
And that's
Yeah.
why we did it, because I don't want to make a Rosso vermouth and then it not taste like it should. Because if somebody buys that and then it doesn't taste like what it says it'll taste like, that's a problem.
Yeah. I mean,
course.
taste is so
Yeah.
subjective, so it's kind of a weird thing too. But like everyone's gonna have a favorite, so we basically took our top whatever favorites too, and it's like, okay, our product needs to be within these because this is what we like and we want it to be.
What was most interesting though was also because that completely removes price or labels or anything out of that stuff out of the scenario. So then to taste things that looking at you go, oh wow, this is so fancy, it's so nice. But blind, it was like gross. Whereas the cheap one that was like, 5 times less was like 20 times better.
Yeah, that was
Isn't that really
that happened
interesting?
a couple times.
like
yeah.
the psychological aspect that plays into
Oh,
it.
it's huge.
Oh yeah, like you
Huge.
feel like you need to like it because it's bougie or swanky.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to spend that much, why would you spend it on crap, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile,
but it's everything's subjective. Like
oh, of course.
100%. Taste is
Like,
incredibly subjective.
that's the funny thing about even like the spritz is it like when I describe it to people at markets and when I try to explain it, I'm like, it's bubbly, it's bitter, it's what did I say?
Bone dry.
Bubbly, bitter, dry, and like grapefruit, a little bit of rosemary that comes through too. I think that's exactly what it tastes like.
I would say so.
It's bitter, it's bubbly, it's dry, it's not sweet at all. But like
Grapefruit, rosemary.
grapefruit rosemary.
Wow.
But we got like a hilarious but also like very angry email from someone who had bought it and like shared it with his family at like a picnic, and they even had it at a barbecue picnic, which is what we recommend on the bottle.
Yeah. I could see that fitting perfectly.
And he
Cut
said
through all that fat. Yeah.
we have like what did he say? Like we have like 20 years plus experience in the
Drinking
wine
experience
industry.
between 30
And like
people.
our ranges
and
are from here to here. And they were like, and everyone had to spit it out.
It was just disgusting.
awful.
It was, just
And like
basically telling us our product was absolute shit and we,
he
shouldn't
didn't
make
ask for anything.
anything
That
more.
was the weirdest part. He wasn't like, I would like a refund or
But
like
taste is subjective.
yeah.
He hated it. We love
he
it. That's
hated it.
fine.
But like also I feel like we described it pretty well of like
no,
what it
I
is.
would say 100%. But again, it is subjective. You
But
can't
it's so
please everyone.
subjective.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
one experience you're reminding me of when it was, so I first tasted mead in Saskatchewan,
Mhm.
but I was visiting relatives in Regina, right? And I was walking down the main strip there, walking back to their place, and there was this little Arabic grocery store.
Yeah.
And they had some stuff that like products you wouldn't normally see. And they had this, it was a carbonated yogurt drink.
Oh.
And so I was like, I've had this before. I had it at Wrap and Roll,
Mhm.
but this one was different. So I grabbed the mint one. So it's a mint yogurt carbonated beverage.
What's the name for that?
I forget.
Tasty.
I forget. So I brought this thing to my relatives. This is so far out of the realm of
Oh, yeah.
anything they've ever had. Like I think that they're just super.
I mean, we even struggle bringing our stuff to like family gatherings.
but like meat
yeah.
and potatoes, just like
Yeah.
they just want very plain. And I bring this thing that's like unheard of.
Mhm.
And like I think my brother tried it and he like almost spat it out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even want to eat now. Like I don't want dinner because I'm so disgusted. And it was this very interesting thing, but it's subjective
completely
because
yeah.
because
if
like
you grew up drinking that, it's the most delicious thing in the world.
well, I tried it and I had the other version that wasn't mint. So I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
It was kind of shocking even still for me, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And again, there's just like this thing. And another thing I've heard about is this gross museum of gross food in like California.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
Where they have collections of what other countries perceive as gross because it's subjective,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh,
Cheese, for example.
interesting.
Yeah, with
is-
maggots on it. Or there's like wine with dead mice, I think, at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
But the one for like North America is root beer. So a large
Oh, yeah.
part of the
Oh,
world
yeah. Yeah.
thinks it's disgusting.
100%.
Oh, that's so funny.
And
yet
like, to
we
me-
love it.
Yeah, I'm like, root beer is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what are you talking about? But it is, it's subjective.
There is a obscure. I mean, I like finding obscure things, but an obscure Italian fortified wine. Have you ever heard of Advocat?
No,
So
I like that name though.
it's an awesome. It's a Dutch egg liqueur where basically you take egg yolks and fortify them with spirit, so it's like a boozy custard. And there's also a wine version of that where you take a sweet wine and blend it with eggs but add spirit so it's shelf stable. So it's like a boozy, winey, eggy custard drink thing, which, you know, if you try and sell like,
Imagine trying to explain that to people.
omit the custard part, just to like, here's some alcoholic egg yolks, now drink it. like, yeah, some people it's weirded out, but for me, I'm like, oh wow, that sounds great. And it's all incredibly subjective.
Yeah, I mean, give me something different. I mean, but again, I'm down for like anything.
Yeah.
Like I'll try anything. Like Mo got he got a local animal, and he was cooking it up, and he cooked up the lungs. It's like I ate the lungs.
Yeah.
Great.
And then he gave me, he was like cooking on the whole thing up. And then he gave me like the testicles, but he wouldn't tell me what it was. And he's like, try this.
Delicious.
And it was the most delicious part of the whole animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he cooked up the liver. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
Well, and so much of it is just perspective of like, or perception of what you think it's going to be. And if you don't know.
I like a lot of that organ meat. You don't. And that's totally fine. People like bitter things. People don't. Totally fine.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you try and you figure out what works for you, but like some like good,
But at least be open.
yeah.
Try it.
But like
Make
liver
your
and
own
onions
decision.
for me,
Yeah.
you get some good liver and onions. It's like, oh, I'd rather have that more than steak.
My favorite food in the world is liverwurst. I can't tell you how many things I've watched or heard people say of how much they hate it, as it's like the worst possible.
Second shout out to House Sausage. for
Oh,
making
their liverwurst is
here.
so legit. I've been waiting for so long for somebody to make a good liverwurst, and there's like one brand you can buy. In
So
Canada.
what is liverwurst?
Basically it's like pureed liver
Oh,
with,
okay.
with some
With like a
herbs
bunch
in
of
it,
herbs, yeah.
and kind of like pate kind of thing. You know, smeared on some bread or
Sure.
crackers and.
So yeah, that'd be
phenomenal.
delicious.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
But I think the reason why I love
But
it so
Quinn
much.
Okay, but-
loves it.
It's okay from you, and you don't like organ meat.
Well, I mean,
But I think the reason I love it so much is my grandma used to serve it all the time when I was a kid, and I didn't know what it was when I was a kid. It was just tasty.
mhm.
And
course.
now that I've grown up eating that, I've, ooh, liver, gross. But that's not really a part of my connotations with that food. It was never gross because I didn't know it was gross.
Yeah.
It just tastes good.
But I guess, I mean, it must be good if you enjoy it and you don't traditionally, I guess, like that kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm not like, I wouldn't say that I hate or I'm
You don't
a
like
real,
pureed meat because meat's
I'm a
like,
texture person.
yeah.
So sometimes textures I have a hard time with.
like
But
mortadella is like one of my favorite.
oh, I hate mortadella.
Yeah, whereas I can't get enough of it.
Bleh.
Yeah.
What do you think
Um,
about rice pudding?
Oh, I can't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I can't do
Oh.
it. I absolutely
I
cannot do it.
gag
And
a little bit, right?
Cottage cheese cannot do
Oh,
it.
but again, childhood things. My dad used to make rice pudding all the time,
No,
so therefore,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's something, it's a little gaggy,
Yeah.
rice pudding.
It's not for me.
Something about it.
You guys are weird.
I mean, what else has weird texture?
Uh,
What about raisins? How do you guys feel about raisins?
I'm pro raisin.
Indifferent.
I think
I'd
raisins
rather
are
a
fine.
grape.
Grapes are much better.
Yeah, grapes are awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, raisins I'm not really down with. I don't know if it's because I remember going to Halloween,
Oh
and
yeah,
some people
getting
go with a
raisins.
box of
That's the
raisins,
worst.
and I'm like, thanks for nothing.
Side note, for the very, 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 very niche group maybe listening who are mead makers, raisins are not nutrients. Google it, figure it out. It
What?
is. Raisins are not nutrients when making mead.
Oh, that was a deep cut. I have
Oh,
no idea what
Yeah,
you're referencing.
he just said something very controversial, I think.
So
that no one knows.
No, there's a very select group of people who do. So in the realm of mead making, when you
don't need to
you're making me do it. 30 seconds.
No, you just go.
what-
Send it.
When you first get into it, there's a whole lot of misinformation about how to make mead, and one of those is that in order to make the yeast happy and to provide good nutrients, you should just put raisins in there, but raisins are not a good source of yeast nutrients, so you should not use raisins. You can have good flavor, but not nutrients.
Okay. Thanks.
This
for
is
that.
Michaela going, rein it in, Quinn, rein it in.
I'm doing this motion just with my eyes.
Yeah, he can see it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to see it physically.
He knows.
Are there any products that you guys want to make? Well, I guess
Yes.
I don't know. I guess you have a whole bunch of stuff that you already have prepared that you just haven't been able to do, right? Because I was going to ask, like, what stuff do you guys have upcoming? Can you say any of it?
Goal for the future. I don't know when it's going to start, but our goal is to come out with one new product every single month.
Ooh.
And then
Is that like one between the two businesses or one for each business?
for Esquimalt specifically?
For Esquimalt,
Okay.
yeah. So we basically have like our flagship vermouths. We're also going to do a third. So the roast and the dry we're always going to keep. We're going to do a third. Do you want to say what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do a Bianco style vermouth.
Okay.
As well. And then
Exclusive.
Yeah, we've never told anybody.
This is an exclusive.
Bianco's
There we
coming.
go. Awesome. I don't know what it is, but it sounds cool.
So
Yeah, go for it.
I like that. You're like asking for permission.
Can I get into the weeds?
Not deeply.
There are
but
3 primary vermouth styles: Rosso, Bianco, and Dry. The thing that differentiates a Rosso from a Bianco has nothing to do with flavor, but simply the fact that Rosso is colored with caramel and Bianco is not. So it is a sweet vermouth that is not colored. So it's kind of clear or pale straw color. So you can use it in different drinks. The flavor can be different, or it can be the same. It doesn't really matter.
So is it most like the Rosso then, out of the 3 that I tried?
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll add some different things to it to differentiate it.
yeah, we won't do the entire
Whereas
the same botanical blend.
the Rosso is a sweet vermouth, whereas the dry vermouth is not as sweet. So it's you got that differentiator there, whereas the Bianco is still sweet. But anyways, we have that coming. We want to do a lot more Quina styles because that's something that we really love and nobody's doing, and a lot of people are really excited about.
Well, there was like a huge demand. So when we did that like bottle smashing in July, we basically posted and said like, hey, this is what's happening. We have this amount of our like regular 750 ml bottles available. And we sold out.
We have to smash it
we have to smash them. But like
within a week. So if you want it, get it now.
Yeah. That kind of came out of the woodwork, and apparently we're huge Quina fans. And
we had stock we were sitting on for like 6 months because we accidentally made too much and then put that shout out, and it was gone in like a few days. It was just
it was awesome.
It was unbelievable.
So there's an appetite for it, and now that's what we hear is just like people being like, when are you going to bring back the Quina?
So it's a new
iteration of it. It's
yeah,
not the
the two products we have in the roster are a Quina Salal, which will be similar to the Quina Rouge, a little bit different though, and is made with wild Vancouver Island foraged salal berries.
What are those?
Oh, they're so good.
What are they like? They kind of like a blackberry or blueberry?
More blueberry.
They are relative to blueberries.
Yeah. Okay.
They are prolific across the West Coast. They're not as juicy. They're a little
very dry. They're like waxy almost.
Yeah, kind of. I can give you a taste after. If you've ever had Odd Society's Salal Gin.
No, Odd Society. Yeah.
Yeah, blueberry-ish.
Okay.
They're kind of a relative to like slow berries.
No. They're relative
to
to blueberries, but Odd Society did their Salal Gin as a riff off of Slow Gin, but using a local berry, and they chose Salal.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was similar in flavor.
Profile.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Anyways,
because Divine has a Slow Gin that's killer.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's somewhat flavor profile-y.
Yes.
Like they're kind of tangy and tart.
Yeah, so we're going to do a Quina Salal. So rather than the base being a red wine, we're doing salal berries. And then we're going to do something called I think we'll call it a bitter lemon, which will be like I
can already tell I like that one.
Like a bitter version of a limoncello.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Sign me up.
So
I'll buy 10 right now.
we basically made a limoncello following. So to make limoncello, you steep lemon rinds in 95% alcohol, and it extracts all of the alcohol soluble oils. And then when you add water to that, those oils can't dissolve into water, so they break out of solution and go cloudy, which what makes limoncello like a cloudy yellow, but it's also what makes it so delicious because you're getting all those lemon oils that you wouldn't normally be able to extract if you did that like 40%, which with a lot more water. So we've made a high proof lemon extract following limoncello practices, but we're going to bitter it with quinine. There's a British soda called a bitter lemon, which is a lemon tonic, basically like lemon flavored with quinine. So we're kind of taking that but shoving it into a limoncello, so it'll be limoncello bittered with quinine, so like a limoncello tonic thing. But yeah,
Delicious.
I don't know,
I would love like yuzu, which would be like in the same, maybe at some point, like same type of
I have
plain
a list of
Yeah.
all sorts of things.
So with these flavors that if you're doing one every month, are these going to rotate? Like a month you get this one, a month you get this
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, we're basically, I mean, we want to do as much seasonal local stuff as we can too.
Love it.
Like that's what was cool about the Orange Sicca Spritz that we did. And I think it's
And
going to
the
be kind of
slaw.
in the, and the slaw. Yeah, 100%.
And there are so many like different little variations. Like I tried trail
Yeah.
berries,
yes, trailing
Which-
blackberries.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
So good.
which I'd never tried before.
Sheringham did a trailing blackberry vodka, I think it was.
I was at the Plot Market Garden. I don't know if you know them,
no.
but they do a CSA box as well. And I went and saw like their little, where like their garden and stuff. And they were someone that was using like custom equipment they had made, and the amount of stuff they were able to harvest in like 1/18 of the space that you would normally have. Like it was so cool. But that was the first place that I tried trail berries.
So we've been working with Ben, a forager who runs a company called Forest for Dinner, the Moss Street Market every Saturday, and we're trying to work with as much regional ingredients as we can, because I mean, yeah, it's great we're making like Italian vermouth, but there are so many flavors again being grown and made on the island that aren't grown anywhere else, like strawberries, that has been a part of the culture of this region and should continue to be. And there's all sorts of different flavors like that I feel we need to showcase, because we have, I mean, Italian cuisine exists because of the things that grow there. We could have a island cuisine because of the things that grow here. And I think we should keep
Lean
pushing
into
that. I mean,
that.
this is why we love Nowhere, because they're pushing that, and all the businesses that are kind of pushing that local vibe is it's something we believe in. You should just fucking eat local.
Yeah, that's what it comes
Well,
down
it's
to.
like at Ithaca, Maria said that back in Greece, they used to have pork once a year, because during the year they would
Yeah.
raise the pig,
Mhm.
and at Christmas time they would have they would eat the pig.
Yeah.
So that's the only time of year where you could have pork.
Yeah, oregano is popular in Italian cuisine because it grows wild in Italy. That's it. And yet we have all these wild botanicals that grow here, but they're not part of our cuisine.
Yeah.
Strawberries, for example, they're everywhere and they're delicious.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I'll give you some after. It's amazing.
Okay.
Root makes really good jam too.
Yeah, I'm surprised I've never heard of this, especially if it like grows here.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Mm.
Beacon Hill Park, there's tons of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the little squirrels and stuff are pigging out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they wouldn't, but
We have wild
Somebody
blueberries
is.
here. They're delicious. There's all sorts of good things. Anyways.
when you get that stuff too, and when it's like fresh, like
Yeah.
you know, you get a tomato that's off the vine, like just
Ugh,
right
nothing
there.
else.
It's like a dessert.
Yeah.
dessert.
Yeah.
Or you can go to the grocery store and you get something that was picked a month ago, and it looks like a tomato, but it doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah, and for us, we're just choosing to steep those flavors in alcohol to extract those flavors and provide them to people in liquid form.
Can I ask about the impact COVID has had?
Oh yeah.
Like how did that sort of happen for you guys when that hits? I mean, you guys just win that award.
I think you should talk about March 12th.
Oh yeah. So March 12th, 2020, we were bottling.
COVID day. Dun, dun, dun.
That was the day that like we were supposed to do a market that weekend. We got like the call that was shutting down. The like
What
NBA
about
had
the
canceled
tanks before then?
everything. Yeah. So we were bottling ginger beer that day. And we were bottling a ginger beer run. So normally we do 2 sizes. We do 375 for retail and selling at markets for consumers, and then we do a 750 ml bottle for hospitality, so for bars and restaurants. And we were doing an entire batch of hospitality-sized ginger beer bottles that day. And so it was
everything we were making that day could only be sold at restaurants.
Yeah. And we were doing it on our fancy new bright tanks, which was kind of the thing that we had invested in 2019. So
this room over to the right of us is not on camera, but it looks like this crazy little laboratory setup.
Those
very cool.
The 2 tanks, we had been talking. As I was previously talking about wanting a fancy bottler, we had been talking about those tanks in the same kind of way as one of those game-changing pieces of equipment that we've been dreaming about for 4 years.
Yeah. Sure.
And so we finally scrounged up the money to get them and did it. And this was the first time we'd ever used them.
So
really?
Super quick overview of basically why they are so impactful for us is when we pasteurize product, you mix it up in a tank and then you send it through the pasteurizer, but it has to be basically from one sealed end to another sealed end so that it's completely sanitary. Yeah. And we were doing that just in small, 20-liter kegs. So I would fill a keg up with our raw ginger beer that we had mixed, plug it into the pasteurizer. It would go into a sanitized keg on the other end, having been pasteurized.
But for a batch of 400 liters plus,
it would be 25 kegs or
every 15 minutes you're switching these things
and
out.
So literally 15 minutes at a time I would go and change.
Keep going. Keep going. The video stopped on one of the things.
Oh,
I'll figure it out. Keep going.
It's been such a short conversation.
It's actually full. Keep going.
Okay, keep going. So basically for pasteurizing, it was a nightmare because every 15 minutes I would have to go up and change the keg, and it was
these things basically made it a
long,
nearly labor-free, enjoyable process rather than painful.
Yeah. So the bright tanks are basically one giant keg. So instead of changing a keg every 20 minutes to get all of that liquid through,
and have to clean all of those,
them, you just
one thing to clean, one thing to.
You just plug in the one end, and it goes through the pasteurizer, and it comes out, which is what I did today. So all the pasteurized ginger beer is on that giant tank.
Should I stop cutting you off?
Maybe. If you want me to get through the story, then yes.
Okay.
But anyway, basically this just enables us to do much larger batches and be much more efficient, which, as we've already said, is kind of our whole game, is to be as efficient as possible. So March 12th was our first time bottling from these giant tanks and bottling for bars and restaurants, and then everything was shutting down around us. And it was just
that was the day they announced restaurants were shutting down, and pandemic was who knows what,
who knows what. That was, nothing was officially closed over the weekend. We met up. That was I think that was Easter weekend.
But that was the start of our pandemic. Was we had invested all of this money into this new kit and making a batch exclusively for restaurants, and that entire avenue in which we were making this
entire revenue stream just poof,
gone. And I think we mentioned before, 65% of our business was farmers markets and events. Those also poof, gone.
Yeah. So March was dark.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
That was the day that hit so many people.
Yeah,
just I just can't imagine the stressfulness, or the stress that would have been incurred on that day, because it's this is your livelihood. This is how you live. This is how you support yourself.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's just gone.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. That's not fun.
Nadia had just been in Vancouver the week before, doing a sales trip, and got into all these restaurants, and then they all canceled their orders.
But that was a big deal too, going over to Vancouver, hotels, travel, the whole shebang. Again, a big kind of time and effort and money investment to do that, and then it just kind of hit the fan.
Yeah, she came home, she was taking her vacation the next week, and we're okay, we'll just work from home from after that. And it was just
well, you're trying to figure it out like everyone else is, right?
Yeah. So we just
out
did
of nowhere, blindsided.
Yeah. The one good thing, well, not one good thing about COVID, but luckily in place before that, we already had our website, because Quinn is pretty somewhat tech savvy, I would say. So
internet.
we already had our website and e-commerce and that all set up. So we were at least able to hit the ground running.
And we were already planning to go e-commerce heavy. So we were a couple steps ahead.
So we kind of pushed that. We did a lot of local deliveries
Yeah.
the like March and April. I mean, even the rest of 2020.
Basically,
now.
we shifted the whole business over to wholesale, which is
Yeah.
hard because when you're selling at farmers markets, we're able to sell at like kind of retail price. So the margins are
much better.
Are sustainable,
Yeah.
whereas wholesale is a volume game because a typical grocery store will take 35% off of the kind of what the consumer pays. So we had to make more product, but make less ourselves. So plus deal with everything else. One of the other good things I think that came out of it, though, we had for a few years in the back of our head went, maybe we should make bitters, but never really did. And then the bitters were actually a pandemic response of a product, frankly, that's got a kind of decent price retail, but they're small, so we can ship them via e-commerce
super easy to ship.
quite effectively. Whereas it's expensive to ship a 750 ml of vermouth for $25, but shipping a 150 ml bottle for $25 is a little bit more reasonable in a pandemic.
Shipping's crazy.
God.
In Canada, it is so expensive to ship
so
anything.
Expensive. And
Insane.
We generally
It's one of our
like
biggest expenses
and
most complicated things to deal with.
we offer free shipping after like a certain price point, which is like a pretty reasonable, I think. Like we should start charging.
But we offer
people
free
for
shipping, but we still have to pay for it.
Of course. And it's
not
so
cheap.
expensive.
It's so expensive.
Like-
There's so many times where like we had the baking steel posted on Etsy and we got like 2 orders from the US that were going to like, I think like Florida and
shipping.
Texas with free shipping.
It's like
Like we made
$80.
negative money on those
Yeah.
baking steels,
Yeah.
but whatever. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, I get it too. Like I want free shipping when I'm ordering things.
Yeah, of course.
I understand, and like it causes me to not order things sometimes when it's not free shipping, but like that's an expense the business has to just eat. So
I mean, when I've sold stuff on eBay, like sometimes I'll just do free shipping because I know people want that.
Yeah.
But now I'm eating like a $25 charge.
Which is huge.
It is huge.
It's crazy.
It really, I mean, it depends on the price, I guess, of the product.
Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace is nicer that way because people will just come here and pick stuff up.
If people want what you're selling,
Yeah.
100%.
But to
I've-
reach the audience,
I've kind of
obviously.
transitioned, from Use Victoria to Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, I just posted some stuff recently and it was like, 90% was off Facebook of the interest.
Yeah.
10% Use Victoria.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the product you're selling. But for some stuff, like there's going to be a whole bunch of people that maybe like a product you make, but they might not all be local.
Mhm.
Like they're going to exist somewhere. You just have to find all those people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a challenge.
Yeah. But like I said, we had at least the bones for e-commerce set up. So we pushed into that. And then we did
I mean, Esquimalt itself is a pandemic
basically
baby.
a pandemic business.
Yeah.
Yeah. We launched the Kina in July 2020. We did the merch, kind of did some pre-sales for that. So we got that April, May.
Yeah, honestly, the merch was just kind of one of those things like, okay, what can we make that
Pre-sell,
people might want to buy online?
Mhm.
So, okay, merch, maybe that's one of those things.
Yeah.
And it's been a ton of trial and error figuring out what works and what doesn't.
I think ultimately, though, it has made our business, like if we're looking for kind of silver linings of the whole shebang, is like it's forced us to get smart with the way our business is run. And we've got this like incredible network of wholesale accounts now too. That's really strong that like then
That we didn't have before.
Thank
Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you, Nadia. Oh my God. Shout out a million times over to Nadia.
Yeah. Remember when I said we shifted, we originally brought her on to help with farmers markets, and then the pandemic hit and we went, hey, we need help over on this other side. And she's just blown it away.
She crushes it.
Yeah.
She's
She's fantastic.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. She's the best.
She's so personable and just like,
She
she is the
is.
person, if you want someone like being at your booth at a market, like can't find anyone better.
She's just so like passionate about good food and drink. And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying before about her being so connected too, is like, she just like genuinely loves
She
this kind
cares.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of things about just seeing food that she's gone and had
Yeah.
Totally.
or drink somewhere or something.
100%.
Oh, us too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her like, just working away and getting all of those wholesale accounts and following up because we don't have time to do any of that. And she's crushing it. So yeah, like I said, so we have this wholesale base. So I think it's kind of made our business stronger in the sense that like once we get through the pandemic, if we ever, it's not going to be getting through it.
But
I
if we can,
suppose
but if we can layer back on some of the things that were lost,
yeah,
I think
bring on some of those like high margin
farmers
things,
markets,
like farmers markets and events, and
we'll be stronger for it if we get
long
out.
term.
And
Yeah.
I think our whole thing, and I think with a lot of other businesses, is we just need to get out of this alive. And if we can do this and get out alive, we'll be better off at the end than we were going into it.
100%.
like 2020 was very much a like for everyone and for us really is just like a panic.
I panic bought cardboard.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Cardboard.
I bought so much
just
cardboard.
like custom shippers, like shipping boxes.
Oh, I see.
And Quinn's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, if we got 5,000 instead of this many thousand, we get this many.
Yeah, that was
like,
my panic buy.
Yeah, we get this
cardboard.
much off. So we have many shippers for all of our bottles.
Yeah.
But like
We're
the baking
e-commerce
steels
now.
and merch. And we got a couple in actually we started this in 2019, but a couple in Alberta to like retrofit a bowler trailer to
Oh, yeah,
do
that
like
was a
with
whole
taps
other
on the
thing.
side
Yep.
for markets and events. And then we went and picked it up in July 2020 and then we sold it.
Well, it was done in April.
Yeah, it was done. We were actually supposed to go like April 1st to go pick it up,
So,
which we
so
did
the-
not.
Yeah, we had exactly retrofitted a bowler trailer with 9 taps on the outside to do weddings and events, serving all of our
Amazing.
our drinks.
Yeah.
Which in a pre-pandemic world would have
Was
been
killer.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
completely restored and yada yada
Beautiful.
yada. We started it in September or October
2019,
2019.
yeah.
It was ready
April.
April 2020, and then we picked it up in July and sat on it for a year. It just sat in our warehouse, and then
And we were just like, ugh, this hurts, but we just need to sell this and,
yeah. So
and move on. But,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that was another one of those kind of plan for one thing and then went another way.
Yeah. Yeah, that would suck though. That would be a hard one to do.
Oh, it just
'Cause
hurt.
you never got
It
to
was
use
so
it.
cute. We
Yeah.
never got to
Not
use
once.
it. It was
No.
so adorable.
Yeah.
I hope you guys
Um,
made out okay on it at least. Like at least.
We didn't,
oh, yeah.
we didn't
You're
end up
okay.
losing money, but
Okay,
it was
good.
a lot of work as far as just like going to get it and
Again, that's-
register
And
that-
it.
design it and build it and
Yeah.
yeah.
that free money that you just
Yeah,
that
exactly.
free time that just
Yeah.
gone.
Well, and just the cost of the whole thing that then just sat there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it went to a really lovely couple on the mainland
Yeah.
who was doing like an events business. So I
Awesome.
think it has a good home.
But again, also learning to focus and not
Yeah.
try and start an events business also on top of everything else.
Which I, God, can't even imagine if that had happened. Like if there was
Yeah.
no pandemic,
yeah, 'cause
like
we were
I
going
don't
to
know
do
how we would have
weddings
done
and
that.
all, all
Ugh,
that stuff. Yeah.
it would have been
no.
far too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, these different timelines. I feel like the timeline we're in
Yeah.
versus the other timelines of like the alternate dimensions or whatever.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we're on some
Wild.
weird ass thing.
There's a really good show. God, what's it called?
Counterpoint.
Counterpoint. Yes, it's on Amazon Prime. What's the actor's name?
J.K. Simmons.
She's really good with actor names. Like,
Yeah,
can
you
name
give me
anything.
a movie and I can tell you
Yeah.
who's in it.
J.K. Simmons, and the premise was basically a government organization found access to an alternative reality, and there's like a little bridge, and like sci-fi counterintelligence things pursue. But in the other world, and this was made in like 2019,
Or 2018. I think,
2018 went through a pandemic.
Oh, really?
And so you had the normal world and then this like post-pandemic stricken world, but it was filmed before, but oh my God.
Because everyone's like, I remember watching it because I don't like dramatic things on TV. It stresses me out. So Quinn was watching it, but I was seeing people in masks and I was like, this was filmed in
mask and then
2018.
go up to like an intersection, and before they press the button, there'd be like a thing of sanitizer there.
Like a hand
And
sanitizer
they
on
actually
the post
really
and, like,
thought through what a pandemic would be like very, very thoroughly, but it was
was
really
wild.
eerie to
Yeah.
watch.
I was
to
playing on
watch
my
that.
iPhone a game
Mhm,
where it's about like a pandemic disease,
mhm.
and the whole point of the game is like you're playing as the virus.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the game is to try and infect the whole world.
Yeah.
So as like it,
Oh,
as people start doing research, this is like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. I think I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, I forget what it was called, but like as people do research in this country, you can like use your points to mutate, so you get past that thing.
Oh my God.
And you can see the globe as it like turns red, and you want to like wipe out everybody before they get rid of you. It was looking at it now, it's like some sick, disgusting
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
But back then, it was like this interesting little game that I played for like a
That
couple
would
days.
never happen.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is some nice fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Toilet paper not on the shelves.
Yeah.
Everyone panicking.
yeah, I think my panic buy was the Esquimalt Wholesale Club. Actually, it's right near here.
It's just
Right
behind
Yeah,
behind
us.
just right there. I went there on the day that everything was like fell apart.
Oh, we went to Costco on that day. It was weird.
Or the next
Yeah,
day
it
on the
was-
13th.
When I
we
walked
went,
in the
yeah.
place, I saw two owners of local restaurants that I knew just walking in the door at the same time as me, and they were all like no one knows what's going on.
Pale white.
Yeah, I bought a bag of chickpeas, which I still haven't even opened. No, I haven't. So I'm gonna be giving that to Mo because they can make some hummus. Yeah, they'll make hummus with it. But yeah, 100%. It's on my floor.
So funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm like, well, maybe I need to eat something at some point.
Just straight chickpeas.
Yeah, I'll soak these for a while.
Right? You're just like emergency kit is just bag of chickpeas.
Protein powder with no water.
Yeah.
I just got a bunch of protein powder. I'll try and eat that. And then I got some chickpeas.
Yeah. So I think like everybody else, we've shifted and adapted and changed.
But it has helped us really like hone in and remember those of just like, okay, we're not going to panic. 2021 was really like getting our focus back and getting financially super stable, like Quinn had kind of alluded to before, just like personally and then with the business. And so not to have like super high hopes for 2022, but like I feel like we've hopefully
the business is healthier.
Yeah, we're a lot healthier, so much healthier than we were pre-pandemic.
CSA vegetable boxes. I've eaten so many more vegetables.
Yeah, sign up. Support local farms.
Eat your vegetables, kids. Yeah, it's so important.
So important. They work so hard. Do you know how hard they work? It's crazy.
Ridiculous.
I didn't really like vegetables before, and
now Quinn likes vegetables,
and I love them now. And I realized because the vegetables I was getting at the grocery store didn't taste like anything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
but the stuff down the road it tastes good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Totally different thing.
Who would have thought?
Again, it's like being in the same. They're called the same thing. They look the same, but
they taste so different.
These are two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah. 100%.
Tomato.
Kind of. Yeah. Like literally. One of those is great. The other one's not.
Yeah. You decide.
I think we might need to cut. My thing keeps cutting off here. So we're over 3 hours.
Been here for so long.
3 hours and 10 minutes.
That clock is an hour.
It's an hour.
Ahead.
I know it's an hour ahead.
And our dog hasn't had. Did you feed her?
Yeah, I fed her.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So I think we might need to cut this here. I could keep going.
This was fun.
We could do a part 2 eventually.
I would love to.
Back,
this was so easy. Yeah, you guys are great.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
No, this is super fun.
Is there anything else that we didn't mention you'd like to mention? I don't know when this is going to air. I would say in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Sweet.
Is there anything that we didn't touch on?
I don't know. We've been talking for a while.
Yeah, I feel like we touched on many things.
I mean, actually, it's interesting because I did another episode on Tuesday, and like I write stuff down here.
Mm-hmm. Did we get through any of your list?
I think we went through actually most of it.
Oh, did we? I was going to say
all the other ones before these, like all the other ones before this one and the last one, I would always like I'm sticking to the list, and because I couldn't just free ball.
Yeah.
But then like this was easy because I didn't even look at it really.
Oh, you just give Quinn a tangent and he'll take it and go.
Yeah, you made it easy for me.
Yeah.
Me?
Yes, you.
So what would you say is the biggest lesson that like as an individuals, as you've learned through like running a business?
Trust your gut. I think that's
a good one.
Like number one of just, if you think something is a miss or a good idea or a bad idea or whatever, just like there's going to be like some innate feeling. Like every time that we've looked back on something and been like, ugh, yeah, that wasn't the right thing. I can like recognize that when we started down that path, I was like, ugh, I don't think.
But once you get down it, it just snowballs.
Yeah, then it snowballs, which is bad. So yeah, just trust your gut.
Look out for those red flags.
Yeah. And you'll get better at recognizing them as you go. So that's a bonus. What's yours? Do you have one?
Can you repeat the question? just I've got some vague ideas, but I want to define it a little better.
I would say, what is your biggest takeaway, whatever that means to you, that you've learned from running a business?
Oh, I have another one.
Okay, go with it.
Just like,
what's that one?
Just surround yourself with good people.
That'll be honest, right?
But good people is the key to this.
No, not even to be honest. Getting bullshit can actually be rewarding, and you can learn from it. But to that point, like don't listen to people. People will spit a lot of bullshit, and trust your gut. Don't listen to it half the time.
Yeah.
But also, I think one of the biggest takeaways, which was the walk-in cooler, I actually think was one of the biggest takeaways. Was we didn't think we could build it, and then just start. Even if you don't think you can do it, just start. Just actually, one of the hardest things about, if you're an introvert, one of the hardest things about going out is just putting your shoes on and making that decision. Just put your shoes on and go out. Just start the project. Just do that thing. Yeah. And it kind of has blown our mind consistently of, once you just start down a path, if you just figure it out and trial and error and problem solve, you probably complete that thing.
That's 90% of the battle.
Yeah.
Just starting.
It's just starting. Just start.
Even today, I was feeling a little tired earlier. Been really busy. You guys, I didn't hear from you until like 2 or 3 to really confirm that we're doing it. And I'm kind of like, honestly, like half of me was like, let's just do it next week. Right. But then now we've done this, and like, this has been fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's been so fun.
So like, I can't imagine not doing this. And once we started, like, it's totally good. Like, I don't care. I'm glad I'm here. You know what I mean? But again, just start.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be a million reasons to not do it.
100%.
But at the same time, I would actually...
Don't push too hard, though. I've been doing that recently. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I have a mentality. I can use tattoos as an example. If you come up with an idea for a tattoo, wait a year. And if you still like it in a year, chances are you'll probably continue to like it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's really a balance of starting it just to get going, but also just like not jumping into things without thinking them through.
Yeah, think it through. Spend some time with that idea. Just let it mull and sit there for a while. And if you still think it's a good idea, then start it.
Yeah. It took me like 10 months to actually get off my ass and do this podcast. Like, I was talking about it for a year.
But if you've been talking about it and thinking about it for a year,
then it's time to do it.
Chances are you'll be happy doing it for 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
But if you've been thinking about it for like a day or two, and then
you lose interest,
invest all this time and effort into it, and then you realize you don't like it.
$2,000.
Yeah.
And then you don't like it like a week later.
There are so many hobbies I have. I tried to play the banjo once, and I bought a banjo, and then I decided it's too much effort and I don't care that much.
Oh, Quinn bought a harmonica at the beginning of the pandemic.
Harmonica, tried that too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Less investment than a banjo.
Yeah, but those were those.
What about yo-yos?
No, I haven't done yo-yos yet.
Okay.
Be fun though.
No. Oh my god.
Start learning the around the worlds
Don't
and all that
ideas.
stuff. Or hula hoops. Or like slinkies. What about slinkies?
I will think about slinkies for a year, and if in a year's time I'm still thinking about slinkies, I will buy a slinky.
Yeah, remember those?
Yeah.
What about those things you put around your ankle with the little spinner ball thing that used to flip around?
It's like it was like jump rope.
Yeah, like a jump rope thing.
Like personal
Skip something.
And it had a little counter. Every time it went around, it would count a number.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many.
Pretty sweet.
This is like a throwback 90s podcast all of a sudden.
This is I could go down a tangent of like a million things from the late 80s. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been absolutely incredible. Guys.
Yeah, it's been lots of fun.
Yeah. I hope that, this has been a long time coming.
I know. Yeah.
And I never have expectations, but I feel like this has met whatever I expected it to be.
But I think we were talking about doing this. Was it
No, it was a year ago.
Pandemic?
No, it was before all this stuff came in effect. I think last October.
Oh, right.
October last year.
Yeah, because I was in a big fume about the gift sets and yada yada. Yes.
Yeah. And then that stuff came in play. I recorded the one at Ithaca like a day before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And then it was like game over.
Yeah.
So
it's good to be here.
But again, if you were talking about it for a year, and then even through all of that shit, if you care enough, you'll just keep doing it. And that's exactly,
I know we're here.
Yeah. So it worked out like it's supposed to.
Perfect.
If people want to find out more about Rootside, Esquimalt wine, what you guys are doing.
I should Instagram more.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about that before.
But Rootside, what's their handle again?
Yeah, where should people go to find out more about you guys?
I've changed it a few times. Rootside Mixers or Esquimalt wine.
On Instagram.
Is probably the best spot. I will post more.
Or rootside.ca or esquimaltwine.ca.
Or just come here and talk to us.
Yeah, they got a nice little area out the front here. Yeah. All their products there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if nice is the right word. It's kind of like pseudo. Yeah, it's in a production space. There's forklifts.
There's a forklift right there.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But yeah, come visit us. Come talk. Come try some things. Farmers markets are you can sample things. You can go see other vendors. You can, farmers markets.
How big of an impact has that made being able to do samples again?
Oh, massive. Huge.
Like on a scale of 0 to 10, you think?
For Esquimalt, huge.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what vermouth is.
Mm.
Yeah.
A
Rootside
little,
slightly less.
a little easier. People know what tonic water and ginger beer
but
and
still,
lemonade
like,
are.
massively beneficial.
But yeah, being able to be like, hey, we make this thing called vermouth or spritz. Ooh, I don't like vermouth. Try it. Oh, this is good. Like it's
who would have thought?
yeah, it makes a big difference.
Okay. Stop talking.
Okay, so I think
need to rein him in.
this is the I guess we're gonna end this thing. If you're looking for more about what I'm doing, you can go to VicFoodGuys.ca or go to VicFoodGuys on Instagram.
He's actually really good at Instagram. There's a lot of awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Way better than us.
So yeah, just go to VicFoodGuys. You'll see my stuff. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good day, night, morning, whenever you're listening to this. And thank you again, guys.
Thanks.
Buy fucking local.
Hashtag buy fucking. Hashtag support local and buy fucking local.
Yes, please.
Everyone, please.
Please.
Thank you.